Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, checking on a flight. Yeah, checking on a flight. Well, it's a shuttle. Yeah, a destination's Mars. Passenger. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show.
Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the Fantasy Football Show.
What is up, everybody? What is up? We're here doing it live. Not only are we talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown's shuttle, and the expectation is that he's landing in Mars as we speak, landing on Mars as we speak. But we're here to discuss. We talked about him being a moon man last year, or he was a moon man last year. We talked about him being an absolute, gem last year. He was an absolute gem. Then he got hurt. Then he suffered a concussion. And I've been telling you that we're going to add one more potential Mars man. We've got moon men galore. We added Javante.
The moon men dropping loads in outer space.
We added Javante the other night. Now it's time to add one more Mars man. We're making it a shuttle of 9, and you're looking at the boy. You're looking at the guy that nobody liked better than we did last year. And you're looking at a guy right here in me that told you right over a month ago, this guy's probably the second best receiver in the National Football League. I have a video on it. Go watch it in terms of touchdown collecting 2023. That means running, receiving. He very likely could be the number 1 or the number 2 overall touchdown getter in all of 2023. That means that if Jamar Chase catches 15, 16 touchdown passes, which I think is totally possible, this guy could pull in 14. 2 or 3 on the ground, 12 or 13 through the air. This right here is a 13, 14 touchdown getter in 2023. And I welcome the newest and brightest and sharpest and most exciting Marsman edition we've had in quite some time. St. Brown, welcome to the Marsman crew.
Mashed potatoes!
He's on a shuttle to Mars. Mars men.
And the shuttle is full.
Loads dropping and spinning aimlessly in space.
The shuttle is full. The shuttle is full. And I don't know that I could have selected a final Marsman that was more fitting to the, nature of the Marsman position. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a top 10 overall player. Amon-Ra St. Brown, what is the title? What did I make the title of this video? Amon-Ra St. Brown, top 10 overall. Let's change that. Amon-Ra is a top, we'll call him top 5 wide receiver in 2023 plus fantasy draft. And that's right, you heard me right. We're drafting. We're doing a fantasy draft here in just a second. I wanted to change that thumbnail because I feel like top 10 is obvious. Top 5 wide receiver might ruffle some feathers. And we're not just here to ruffle feathers. I don't want people to think I'm here to just shock people with shock value content. But, we're not cookie cutter, that's for sure. And what we do here is different than everybody else. We're ahead of the curve. We've been pumping out this content for a while. There are a lot of Amon-Ra St. Brown believers now. And I'm not saying that he's like under the radar necessarily, but we got a lot of pushback last year. We've been getting a little pushback this year for calling him a first-round pick. And in the Throne draft, we got him as our second drafted player. him and Garrett Wilson are neck and neck. Neck and neck. If I'm in 2 drafts and I'm drafting number 8 or 9 overall, I'm not hesitating if I'm going wide receiver. If wide receiver is my plan of attack from the 8 pick, let's say, I'm not hesitating on either Garrett Wilson or Amon-Ra. And I might go as far as to say if I had the 8 pick in 2 side-by-side drafts, I'd go Amon-Ra in one, I'd go Garrett Wilson in the other, without much of a hesitation. And not this past year where he got injured, but the year prior, his breakout year, This man, and if you're sitting there going, Smitty, did you just say he could be one of the top touchdown getters in the National Football League? His over under or his higher low on Underdog, let me find it, is like 5 touchdowns or something like that. Let me find it. It's one of the best. Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. They'll match up to $100 in your first deposit. First and foremost, you want to go in there and I'm going to drop the link right now. Go in there and hit that link right now. They'll match up to $100 on your first deposit. I'm going to pin it right now. And if you want to draft with us in a little bit, you have to hit that link. Make sure you're signed up and ready to go. And you can also do the higher lows that I'm going to show you right now on Underdog using, let me show you, using that code on Underdog. Here's, let me see if I can find it. Actually, let me screenshot a fresh copy of it to make sure it hasn't changed. I'll go to, let me plug in real quick. I'll plug in and we'll put the Underdog app up and we'll go find it live. Amon-Ra St. Brown is going on these high lows and how easy it is, I think, to smash some of these this year. So you click the pick 'em at the bottom, then you go over to NFL season, right there, that blue circle. You click on NFL season and you scroll down to the wide receivers. It goes quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, in order. And so when we get to the wide receivers, we'll start looking for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Let me just make sure I didn't pass him. Okay, here we go. Let's look for Amon-Ra St. Brown. I hope it's still 5.5 touchdowns or whatever it is. It's the craziest high or low I've seen in quite some time. It's absolute glory. And I'm going to show you why he's going to annihilate his high or low touchdown total. Where's it at? Where's it at? Looks like wide receivers and tight ends are together. Did they take him down? Please tell me he's not taken down. There he is. There he is. 5.5 touchdowns. He could do that in a quarter of the season. 5.5 receiving touchdowns. They added the 3.5 100-plus receiving games. That's a really new thing that they've added. Look at that line. They just added these 3.0 100-plus receiving yard games. That's really cool. That's a new higher low line that we get to now evaluate. They just added those. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, 5.5 touchdowns. He's going to crush 6 touchdowns. He'll get you 6 touchdowns in a quarter of the season. In a quarter of the season. He could run for 2 or 3. This is receiving touchdowns, but I'm just saying 5.5. He could run for 2 or 3 touchdowns. You think he's not going to catch 5.5 touchdown? Oh my God. That hire is a smash. We're going to get into the drafts in a second. We're going to go to the lobby and we're going to get into the let's see here. Where is it? I think they're done with the Hound Dogs, right? So we're going to go into a weeklies. We'll go into a weekly winners, which is a $15 contest. There's prizes every single week. It's my favorite contest anyway. We'll get to that in a second. Let's talk about why the 5.5 line is an absolute joke for Amon-Ra St. Brown. And let me go ahead and screenshot that real quickly and put it on screen because this is important. This is really important. This is probably one of the better conversations to have right now with you guys because these higher lows are, I think, a way to really make some bread. Okay, here it is. 5.5. Why is this such a smash? I'll tell you. This guy walked out of his rookie or his breakout season here. Look at the column of targets right here. He's not starting here. Week 13 is when he gets starter volume. He gets 12 targets, 11 targets, 11 targets, 11 targets, 10 targets. He has 2 100-yard games, 2 90-yard games, an 86-yard game. His worst game is 8 receptions for 73 yards and no touchdowns. But that no touchdowns he made up for by having 2 touchdowns in Week 17. Essentially having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 touchdowns in 6 straight games. With target totals that are all above 10, double digit, and reception totals that are 10, 8, 8, 8, 9, 8. Unbelievable finish to his breakout season. And you say to yourself, okay, well, what did he do? What did he do walking into the next season, which was 2022 this past season. Before he got hurt, he started off hotter than he was finishing that season. And he was the number 1 wide receiver in the National Football League. Look at these numbers right here. If I can get my system to work right. It's glitching on me today. Right here. Week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles, I might add. 12 targets again. This guy just spins off of 10, 12, 11, 10 targets in his previous season. Walks straight into 2022 hotter than he finished. 12, 8, 9, 64, 116, 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns, a 68 yards off 2 carries. This guy was the best player, the best receiver in fantasy football, the best receiver really production-wise in the NFL in his final 6 games and first 2 games. A total of 8 straight games, there was no receiver doing what this man was doing. He scored 6 touchdowns, and then he scored a 7th and 8th and a 9th touchdown. In 8 games, he scored 9 touchdowns. 8 games, he scored 9 touchdowns. And then he got injured. He had 6 catches for 73 yards. He got injured. He missed week 4. He had a bye week in week 6. He was still hobbled in week 5, still hobbled in week 7 with 1 target. Kind of got back on his horse a little bit at certain points during the season, catching 119 yards, getting a cluster of touchdowns right here in 1 and 2, 3 touchdowns in a 2-game span with 122 yards and 114. Then he had a concussion. He was hobbled. This was a bad season for Amon-Ra, but it wasn't something, in my opinion, that's painting a picture about his health and how there's going to be some sort of like injury concern going forward. These are 2 kind of freakish injuries. I don't see any reason to be worried about him being an injury-prone player moving forward. Amon-Ra St. Brown comes from a bloodline of Mr. Universe performers. Okay, his dad was Mr. Universe, I believe, twice. And this guy knows a little something about working out. His dad knows a little something about staying healthy. And Amon-Ra is hungry. And he knows the name of every single wide receiver that was drafted ahead of him. And when he lines up across the field of one of those wide receivers that he's playing against, he glares at him. He knows every single name of every player drafted ahead of him. He's got a chip on his shoulder like no other. And this man played 8 straight games in a row before his injuries last year as the number 1 wide receiver in the National Football League. Only Jamar Chase was better than him in his final 6 games. Whoops, that's the wrong one. In his final 6 games during his breakout season. During this game, this 6-game span where he had a touchdown, no touchdown, touchdown, 2 touchdowns, and another touchdown. 6 touchdowns in 6 games, double-digit targets across the board. Only JJ was better during this weeks 13 through week 18. Only JJ was better. There was not another wide receiver that was better than him. But once you mix in the next 2 games in the next season, there's nobody that's better than Amon-Ra St. Brown. Look at the clustering he does with touchdowns. 1 and 2 in a 2 games. This is 3 touchdowns in 2 games. This is 3 touchdowns in 2 games. And then his breakout season, this is 6 touchdowns in 6 games with another double-digit touchdown affair. You don't trip and fall into clusters of touchdowns like that. You just don't do it. You don't trip and fall into touchdown clusters to that degree. This is a top 5 wide receiver 2023. This is a top 10 overall player. This is a wide receiver 1, not a medium or a decent wide receiver 1. This is a potential high-end wide receiver 1 that you're getting at the almost the end of round 1, sometimes round 2. We got him in the throne in round 2. So buckle up, St. Brown. You are a Mars man, and you ain't going anywhere, pal, but to Mars.
He's on a shuttle to Mars. Mars men. Loads dropping and spinning aimlessly in space.
All right. So now it's time to live draft, ladies and gentlemen. Buckle up, get your seatbelt on, buckle it, get it ready. Where is this? Okay, here it is. Let me put this up here. We're jumping into a weeklies. I've linked the Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty in the live chat. So please click that link, and they'll match up to $100 on your first deposit by using code SMITTY, which is inserted for you using that link. So let's get into a weekly. So we're going to go to the draft tab at the bottom. We're going to make sure we're on lobby. We're going to make sure we're on home. We're going to make sure we have these game cards in front of us. And you're going to scroll on over to, oh, it's the first card, weekly winners. I'm not clicking the green enter button yet, but I'm going to click on the card, and I'm going to show you what we're looking at. $3.5 million in prizes. We're talking about weekly prizes and payouts. There is no season end prize. There's no prize at the end of the rainbow. There's no playoffs. There's no playoff rounds. There's no week 17s more important than week 1. It is literally think of it like 17 individual leagues. Every league is in each week. So you could literally draft a team that is suspended for the entire season but week 17. Let's say you drafted an entire team, 18 players, all of which were suspended weeks 1 through 16. And they're all going to come back in week 17 only. You can win $20K in week 17 if you're the number 1 scorer. Let's say your players are all injured and they all come back in week number 8. You don't care about week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant because all you're playing for is week 8. And then you hope you win week 9, week 10, week 11. They're all independent. This is weekly winners. You're paid out $20K for first place every single week. $10K for second place every single week. And so on and so on and so on. All the way down to the prizes you see on screen. 11th through 20th place, highest scoring team each week gets $1,000. Doesn't matter if your team sucked all year long in week 15. If you're the highest scoring team, $20K. It's all independent. Click the green button now. And I'm going to wait because of the YouTube delay about 5 seconds, and I'm jumping in, and I'll get in there with you. We've got 5 more to start, and then we're jumping straight to the phone lines. And we're going to do a weekly winners, and we're doing it live. Appreciate every single one of you in here. 180 to 200 people popping in and out. Please punch that thumb up button on your way in the door. Phone lines will be open shortly. In fact, I'll put the number on screen right now. If you want to call in, the phone lines are yours, and I'm here to serve. Let's see here. Say it again, Smitty. Lobby, then what? I'm under promo code Smitty. Henry, you got to hit that... You got to hit the home lobby, and then you'll see the player cards there. Or it's right on the main page. Like, you don't even have to click anything, right? When you open up the app, like close the app, close it, and then reopen it, it'll be right there on the main page. There's the weekly winner card. And if you don't get in, and it doesn't look like you're going to get in this particular draft, get in one right behind us, and then you can use the logic and apply it to your draft. You know what I'm saying, broski? You don't have to actually get into mine. It's nice if you do, but if you miss it, then you're going to be ready for next time. All right, hit that thumb up button on your way in the door. Travis Rose in the building. Appreciate you, Travis. Travis says 40 likes. Those are rookie numbers. Let's pump those numbers up, says Travis. Appreciate you being here, Travis. Modding like usual. I've got Okafor in here. We got the first individual in here. Draft's beginning right now. Lone Sentinel. Lone Sentinel to the moon.
To the moon.
First super chatter of the night is going to get a standing ovation, by the way. Let's see, do I have that even? Yeah, there it is. Is this the first super chatter? Dallas with a $20 hauler immediately.
Alert. Super chat alert. Alert. Super chat alert.
Dallas dropping a wad right from the start, right from the jump. And you get a standing O for being the first super chatter of the night. What a beast. What a beast. I haven't even read it yet. This thing could say, Smitty, you suck. And I don't care. St. Brown or Garrett Wilson, non-PPR. Non-PPR, I'm going St. Brown. Believe it or not. If I had to choose in that format. I just think the touchdowns are there. I think they're going to run them a lot. They think of them a lot like their version of a Deebo Samuel. And I don't say that lightly. I don't even say poor man's Deebo Samuel. I'm giving St. Brown the respect he deserves. Will he be used on the ground as much as Deebo? No, the ratio might be different. It might be more of like a 150 to 200 yards versus like a much bigger number that Deebo would get. And Deebo's not even back to that role. That was a one-time thing, really. But St. Brown could rush for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns on top of pulling in 11, 12, 13 touchdowns through the air. I love him. I'm going to be a father in a few hours watching your show. Oh, my God. This guy's at the hospital right now with his wife screaming and yelling at him, and he's calling in and doing super chats. And Congrats, my guy. Congrats, my bro. This guy's gonna be a father. And I'm on the clock. Hold on one second. I'm gonna be a father right now as well. To Amon-Ra St. Brown at number what pick am I at? Number 11 overall. I'm a father too. St. Brown. I love being able to pick my guy that I'm talking about in the live stream. St. Brown, there he is. He's on the team. Welcome to the team. Dallas, appreciate you. Congrats to Dallas. Everybody throw a baby emoji in the chat for Dallas. Way to put a bun in the oven, Dallas. Appreciate your super chat. What an amazing thing to hear right now. As I'm drafting St. Brown, he's having a baby, giving a $20 holler. I've got Chris on the line. Chris, you're live.
So, Smitty, my questions are pertaining to these Lions and Falcons players. It's not really directly regarding redraft because, it's redraft season and I got my redraft coming up. So my question is, when you got to spend up, right, and you got to pay for Amon-Ra in the second, would you still feel comfortable snatching up Gibbs in the third, even though you got, so you would be going double Lions?
Yeah, because they play in a way that I don't think they're going to impact each other in that one's got to produce and one can't. Kyle Pitts in London, I'd have a problem with. Tyreek Hill and Waddle, I would not do that. That's a dumb decision. But
how about Bijan
in London? I don't mind that at all. Not to mention, you know what it really comes down to, Chris? I don't think anybody's going to explain it like this because people are so, I don't know. This is what it really means, Chris. This is what it's about. This is what it's about. Okay, so hear me right here. When you take two players from the same team, the real issue isn't like the potency of the offense is important. That's a big component. But how much of early draft capital are they consuming? So if you say something like, let's go Hurts in round, let's go AJ Brown in round 1, AJB in round 1, and let's say that Devontae Smith falls to round 3. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that this offense can't support both these guys having good games, but this is your first rounder and this is your third rounder. So if the Philadelphia Eagles have a bad game, those are two of your biggest heavy hitters that are taken out. And then who do you have to support the team from that point on? Your second rounder, your third rounder, your fourth rounder. But if you look at it from the other perspective and you say, okay, Bijan is your first rounder and London's your fifth rounder. Well, if the Falcons have a bad game and you don't get any points here that you're expecting, you still have a second, a third, a fourth, a sixth to help carry your team. You know what I'm saying? So it really comes down to the mixture of what the draft capital is. How many more guns do you have to carry the weight if it doesn't work out that week? And it's a combination of it all. And a potent offense. You need a potent offense. Like St. Brown and Laporta is less attractive than St. Brown and Gibbs because, St. Brown and Laporta might potentially, eat into each other's workload, and it might be hard to see both of them do extremely, extremely well at the same time. But I still think it's a potent offense where I wouldn't run from that because Laporta costs you almost nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Here's my next question, Smitty. At what draft position would you feel comfortable snatching up Pitts?
God, man, he was on the Moon Man list. I took him down to the Satellite Man list, and now I don't even know that he's a Satellite Man. I like Pitts a lot, but he's been banged up. He's still recovering. I know a lot of people say, oh, Arthur Smith doesn't like fantasy. He just doesn't necessarily love throwing to Pitts, and that's the only thing I'm worried about. I still am worried about that. I would say, like, I'd rather have Waller. At this point, I'd rather have Waller, and Waller's falling a lot further than Kyle Pitts, so I'm not going to even condone the drafting of Pitts because I feel like you got to take him in like 5 or 6, and I don't like that.
Yeah, I hear you. It's just things that I've been thinking about, Smitty, because I've been in there drafting today on Underdog. And
Attaboy.
I've just been thinking, man, because I got my redraft coming up. I'm
Keep
getting
thinking.
my draft slot tomorrow. And, I've just been doing drafts on Underdog from the, hopefully in the middle.
Yeah, hey, hold on one second. 410, you're live on the show. Who's this? What's up, 410? What's your name and where are you calling from?
Quinn, originally Baltimore, but I'm in Pittsburgh right now.
Quinn in Pittsburgh. Attaboy. What's up, Quinn?
Just had some questions about keepers that I should try to make. 14-man PPR.
Hey,
league.
Quinn, can you hold on 1 second? I'm on the clock. I just don't want to time out.
Yeah, you're good.
I've got Barkley, Amon-Ra. I'm running out of time here. I'm going to reach a little bit and go ETN. He's usually better in the 4th round, but I was running out of time and I didn't want to time out here. Hold on. Let me just see what I'm going to be able to pull off here. So my team so far is Barkley, ETN, Amon-Ra. That's a really good squad. I'm liking it a lot. Question is, do I go with this next pick? Do I force a QB? Do I go RB again? Do I go wide receiver? Do I go tight end? No, I don't really like. I mean, Hawkinson's not bad, but I'm going to wait because there's a lot of tight ends I like. I think I might forego the QB and go Christian Watson. So my team is as follows. I've got Saquon, Travis Etienne, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Christian Watson. I like that squad. It's a weeklies. I don't mind it at all. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Quinn from Pittsburgh. Quinn, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I got a 14-team keepers league. Get 2 keepers. I got the 10th pick. I got 3rd round. I could take ETN or Brees Hall. 4th round. I could take Waddle or Jacobs, or I could keep.
Let's go each. Let's go. These are all keepers.
Yeah, so I get 2 of any of these.
Okay, so say them one more time. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So ETN or Brees Hall in the 3rd.
ETN
Waddle or Jacobs in the 4th. Damian Pierce in the 8th, and Garrett Wilson in the 9th.
Garrett Wilson in the 9th, man. You can keep any 2. Okay, so
Yep.
This is 6, 7, 8, 9. So G Willie is definitely 1. That's your 1.
Yeah.
That's not even a hesitation. And you said Jacobs, and then who was the 4th? Jacobs and who?
So 4th is Jacobs and Waddle.
Waddle. Look, Waddle, as much as I don't love Waddle in round 2, Waddle and 4, G Willie and 9 is probably your 2 best values, to be honest. I love Etienne and Brees, but that's where they're going. Waddle's going in round 2, so this makes Waddle a very affordable. It can get you a lot in trade too, bro. Like you could trade him if you wanted to. I don't know if you can trade now, but you could even potentially trade now. But these are your 2 best values by far, and I'm not even like a super big Waddle fan because I don't like that people take him in round 2 and you're getting him in 4. You should be able to trade that too. That's very, very, very easy to trade.
Yeah, I was between Waddle and Pierce, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I just wasn't really sure what to lean that.
Yeah. Sandu says top 10? Smitty, St. Brown top 10? Love Amon-Ra in the 2nd, but J-Lo is a talented player. Worried about no top 10, says Sandu. Sandu, hold my prime. Hold my prime. I'll take this one, Sandu. You just walk away. And don't ever, Sandu, come into this house and say you like St. Brown, but. You know what I'm saying? You can't like St. Brown. If you're telling me St. Brown's not a first rounder to you, don't say you like him. That's disrespectful to the people that do like him. Area code 314, who's this and where are you calling from?
From Missouri.
What's up,
St. Louis,
Stephen?
Missouri.
My man. What's up, my guy? And Chris, you can hang tight real quick if you want, and any other callers on the line, just hang tight. Stephen from Missouri, go ahead, pal. What can I do for you?
Yeah, dang, this is I'm a first-time caller, but I love your show.
Show loves you.
Oh, appreciate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to ask about the 2-3 turn. Like I got the second spot in a 10-man redraft.
Okay.
And it's like 0.25 per carry for running backs.
Okay.
Half-point PPR. So
Okay.
there's a little nuance involved. And I was trying to get your take on Brees versus Gibbs on the 2-3 turn.
You know what's funny about this topic is I was faced with this dilemma in the Scott Fish Bowl that I live streamed from Las Vegas at Circus Sports, which was amazing at Stadium Swim. We're going back there, I hope, next year. But that league, that Scott Fish Bowl, was 0.25 per carry as well. And I drafted Gibbs in the late third round, and it was a super flex. And I had people go, "What? Like he's Smitty? It's 0.25." But this is full PPR. Yours is half PPR, but still, it was so funny to see the expression on everybody's face when they're like, "Smitty, it's 0.25 per carry." That doesn't cater to Gibbs. He's going to catch more passes, and I'm like, well, how many points is he going to get per pass? Well, 1. It's like, okay. So where's the problem? When he's not running the ball, he's getting an extra 0.75. And people are acting like he's not good in PPR 0.25 rushing. Not to mention, he's going to run for a lot more yards than people think. Gibbs, if it's a 1 QB, Gibbs is a smash in round 3, even at the 2-3 turn. I'm at the point now where I'm Smitty approving that 2-3 turn, but take him in the third if possible. Don't be the one that pushes his ADP.
Yeah, I'm not planning on reaching for him. So I have a couple more questions, and these should be brief because you kind of already have the breakdown.
Yeah,
it is like we're on ESPN, but everybody I play with are like they're sharps. Like they played on Sleeper. We ended up playing on ESPN because our director of operations. So it's basically the approach I'm trying to take is Amon-Ra in the second round and then Gibbs in the third if I can get it. So I've kind of wanted to know like your take on Brees and Gibbs based on the, quarter point PPR, or I'm sorry, quarter point, points per rush or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's going to kind of change things a little bit. But the other approach, like the ideal would be Amon-Ra and then third Gibbs. But I don't know if Amon-Ra is going to last that long.
He probably won't, bro. I mean, if they're sharks, you just said you described them as sharks, and everybody thinks their league is full of sharks, but sometimes they're just piranhas, or little baby bass. I know everybody wants to be in a shark league. I know everybody thinks their group is great, but that's like asking an impaired person, "Can you drive?" Yeah, I'm good. Everybody thinks everybody's league's good, but if Amon-Ra falls past number 13 or 14 overall, then they're not sharks, and I hope they're not. Odds are you're gonna have to go Olave, but guess what? Olave could be a top 5 wide receiver as well. So,
which was my next question: would you take Olave over Gibbs?
In the second, yes, because I want Gibbs to fall to your third round pick. In a vacuum, I honestly feel like Gibbs is a top 10 overall player, but so in a vacuum, I would like I'm getting on a plane. I always give the example. I'm getting on a plane. The door's closing. They're about to seal it off, right? And it's going to take off about a minute before week 1 kicks off. And I'm not going to land until week 18. And the door's closing. You say, Smitty, who outscores who? I'm yelling Gibbs through the door before it closes. That doesn't mean you draft him before Olave. So draft Olave, then take Gibbs, and then that's a great set 2-3 turn. But this is a 2-3 turn. So like it doesn't really matter if you're like, let's say you're at pick 18 and then, you want to try to get Gibbs in the 3rd round. Gibbs falls in the 3rd round much more than Olave falls, but both of them fall in the 3rd round. In ESPN, Olave falls to like round 3 or 4, and Yahoo or wherever. I can't keep track of the bad ADP data out there. The best advice I can give you, Chris, is that, or is it Stefan? Stefan. The best advice I can give you, Stefan, is to look at your ADP suggested rank and let that make your decision on where to manipulate where you take what player, because that's really what drafting is. To be a master drafter, you're manipulating the ADP data, because the further you get down in a draft, the more people rely upon it, because people aren't prepared, or they feel nervous, or they don't know who to take, and the clock is running out, and they resort to the ADP. And they say to themselves, I can't take someone that's 15 players down. I'm going to get laughed. There's a reason he's not ranked, not next. So you are going to know based on that pre-ranked list where you need to go. Because I could tell you all day, go Olave, but what if Olave's 8 spots down and Gibbs is 2? So you got to go with the suggested rank. Not to mention, so many things could change between now and tomorrow. You know what I mean? So that advice will hold true for you. If you just take what I'm saying here, but take it in and go, okay, wait a minute, Gibbs is going higher, I'm taking Gibbs. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there's one last scenario, okay? Because I pick at the 2nd, like I'm the 2nd overall pick. So what I've been noticing lately, and I feel like it will come to fruition, is I take Chase, number 2 overall, and then A.J. Brown seems to continuously be available at the 2-3 turn for my 2nd pick.
But how is this a shark league? You're mocking on data that's bad, because if it's a shark league, A.J. Brown's going in the top 12. So I think that scenario doesn't seem logical. I've seen A.J. Brown fall to the 2-3 turn. Guess how many times? 0. I've never ever entire and I don't mean that in regards to your take or anything. I'm just trying.
No, that's good news. That's good news, because I've kind of been freaking out about this 2-3 turn, and it's been causing me some issues in mock drafts. So
0 times have I seen it. 0.
Okay, because literally the next choice was, if I can't get Amon-Ra in the 2nd round and then get Gibbs in the 3rd, I was going to do A.J. Brown and then Jalen Hurts stack in the 3rd.
Real quickly, I'm on the clock, bro. Hold on 1 second. So remember I told you I wouldn't draft Kyle Pitts? We're sitting here around 8, though, and he's been sitting at the top. Part of it's because I probably said I wouldn't draft Kyle Pitts. And I'm sitting here, and he's still there, and I don't have a tight end yet. I feel like this is a pretty good place to draft him. I'm gonna take him here against what I just said, but this is like 90, almost 90 overall as ADPs in the 60s. The pricing, the entry point, when the cost of entry changes, then the valuation changes. Like, that was ridiculous value. That was almost 2 rounds later. So I'm gonna go Kyle Pitts there, and my team is as follows, which I feel like is a really solid weekly squad. I've got Saquon Barkley, Travis Etienne, Damian Pierce, Isaiah Pacheco, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Christian Watson, JSN, and Kyle Pitts. And this is a weeklies team, meaning there's no season prize. There's no weeks 1 through 17. There's no playoffs. There's no, week 14, week 15 matter more than it's 1 week at a time, individual compartmentalized weeks. No week relates to the other. And in week 1, if you get first place in week 1, total points, you win $20K. If you get first place in week 5, you get $20K. If your team's suspended for every single week but week 17, and they all come in and you score the most points in week 17, $20K. So for that format, the fact that I have JSN, I've got a injury-prone Isaiah Pacheco, I've got to worry about his workload Travis Etienne. All those guys, all they got to do is pop off in 1 week for me together, and I can win that 20K. And I feel like that Pitts value. Like, I don't know why he fell so far. Let me answer this question real quick. Derek, I'm so sorry I left your super chat hanging here. Let's give Derek a $20 hauler for dropping this $10 that's been sitting here. Derek, you still here?
Alert. Super chat alert.
Poor guy. Derek, I don't want to discourage you from super chatting in the future. I'm sorry about this. Derek says opinions on my 12-team Superflex draft. Hurts, T-Law. Hurts, T-Law, Love. Those are 3 amazing quarterbacks, my guy. Unbelievable. Make sure I'm not on the clock. Okay. And then Gibbs, Pacheco. Love it. Herbert, Khalil Herbert, Charbonnet. Unbelievable, bro. Garrett Wilson, Watson, DJ Moore, Tony. I love the Tony value. Chigakonkwo, Laporta. This is a 12-teamer, Derek. Derek, call in. I want to know what league you're in and if there are any openings. What is going on here? Gibbs, Pacheco. I can't believe you pulled that off on a Superflex. That is unbelievable. And that's the advantage of taking a quarterback in round 1, because then you start drafting against traffic. And I'm sorry, yeah, it hurts. How'd you get Hurts and T-Law though? How'd you had to have traded for that, Derek? You got to call in and tell me what you did, because there's no way T-Law, like there's no way Hurts fell to a point where T-Law was in some back-to-back. You had to have traded up. That's a phenomenal squad. Oh, that's unbelievable. Marsman, rock out on the phone. I've got Stefan and Chris still on here. Rock out, you're here. Marsman, go ahead. You got the floor because you got a Marsman card. There's only 11 of these out there, and Rock out's got one, and Rock out says, I want the floor. But Chris and Stefan, don't go anywhere and just interrupt after Rock out's done making a point or two. Just interrupt if you got a question. Go ahead, Rock out. You're live.
Yeah, you can wait. I just sent you a DM.
Okay. Let's see here. I need a wide receiver. Oh, I'm so tempted to just forego wide receiver here, because here's my thinking. I'm looking at this list and I'm like, there are wide receivers down 15 wide receivers that I like just a tiny bit better. I'm going to go Kincaid, even though this is a 1 tight end. This is weeklies, and I've got the Kyle Pitts Kincaid combo. So whichever one outscores the other, that one starts for me that week. And I this feels like a deep team. I'm on the clock again. I haven't gone QB yet. I don't want to push my luck. I'm going to go Aaron Rodgers. He's down a little bit. But now the team looks as follows. Aaron Rodgers, Saquon Barkley, Travis Etienne, Dameon Pierce, Isaiah Pacheco, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Christian Watson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Kyle Pitts, and Dalton Kincaid. That's pretty good for a weekly's rock out. I like that.
That's not my team.
What? Go ahead.
That's not my team.
Yeah, it's my team.
I think you were talking to someone else about that.
No, that was my team. I was reading my team off.
Oh.
Yeah. What's going on, Rock Out? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I sent you a DM.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check it because I'm using my phone right here. I'll check it at the end. Remind me at the end, and I'll play
you're
it.
good. You're good.
You got anything else? I could go back to Chris. Rock out and interrupt whenever you're ready. Actually, let me put this caller on hold. 209 area code. You're live. Who is this and where are you calling from?
209.
Where's the 209? Is that California?
Yep.
The Cuz. What's up, the Cuz? What do you got for me?
The Cub.
The Cup or the Cuz? Is it Pam or Pan?
The Cub, like a bear. You know the Cub?
Pam? Like Pam or Pan?
C-U-B. The Cub.
What's up, the Cub?
What's up? No, but what's like the earliest you would take Alvin Kamara now? Because I've been like seeing him creeping up, and I still feel like he could hit like weeklies. Like he might not be out, but he'd be fresh. And I feel like he's a top 1 running back. So, like, what's the earliest we would get him?
You know, I accidentally hung up on everybody when I answered that. So, Rock Out, Chris, and who was the other individual? I want to say it was Stefan, I think. Can you guys call back? I apologize. I hit the wrong button. Alvin Kamara, I like him a lot, bro. They're talking about he's working with a new trainer. There's a reason that he was totally like off his game last year. He had a lot of mental issues with the whole, trial and all that stuff. So definitely, Rockout says you're on mute. Yeah, I'll come back. Rockout, can you just wait there? I'll come back. If you don't want to call in again, I'll come back over. I answered the wrong call. Or actually, Rockout, can you tell all the guys to hang up and call right back on again, and I'll add them to this call. I dropped that call on accident. I'm sorry. So Alvin Kamara is working with the new trainer, and quite honestly, I didn't feel like he dropped off from a physical standpoint. He just wasn't in tune. They took him out on third downs in weird ways that didn't make sense. Derek Carr's there now. They're definitely going to want to set him up for success, and Alvin Kamara is going to be a big, important part of that. The only thing I'd say is if Kendre Miller gets in there and goes nuts, they're probably going to be like, okay, let's just keep him in, or let's keep him in there at 40, 50% because he's doing great, and they kind of see him as a potential, future of the team. You know what I'm saying? So,
You think like it'll be like a committee at that point, but
1,000.
I just feel like Alvin Kamara's just talent and what he's been proven is just like it's like I feel like okay, yeah, you might miss out the first 3 weeks, but I'm just trying to see because before we found out his suspension, I was getting him like in round 9, but now he's kind of creeping up to like round 7.
Okay, but hear me out, bro.
8.
Hear me out, bro.
Yeah.
It 1,000% determines and is completely reliant upon how good Kendre Miller is doing. Is Kendre Miller hurt? Is Jamal Williams punching in 3 touchdowns in the 3 games? Like, if there's significant success by those other RBs, Kamara's walking back into a committee, and then he's got to take the job back. Okay? It's going to be that simple. Yeah. If they struggle to run the ball, guess what? He's going to be a savior. So it's totally dependent on all that.
So what do you think for you like a perfect round to kind of get him in?
Kamara, anytime in 7 or on. 7 on, I love it. I'm still drafting him like clockwork, bro.
6 just kind of what's there is a little bit too much for you.
Yeah, too high. Javonte, I taken 6 now over Kamara because he's looking good and here everything's looking great.
Okay, Javonte, you like a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, but it's arguable. I mean, I don't think it's a crazy argument or anything like that. All right, hang tight, bro. I'm gonna come back to you, Cub. One second. Let me go back over to Tyler, or let me go to Tyler, and then I'm gonna go over to Stefan, who called back in, and Chris, call back in. Okay, yeah, hit mute real quick. Chris, call back in. I didn't mean to hang up on you, Chris. Go ahead, Tyler. You're live, pal.
Smitty, how we doing?
I'm good, bro. So far, I haven't timed out. I'm trying to balance everything. It's so far so good.
Yeah, you're always doing a good job. I got 2 quick questions for you.
Yeah.
So I know last year you were big on Jalen Hurts. This year you're big on Fields. And last year you were big on A.J. Brown with Jalen Hurts. But I don't see you talking much on DJ Moore. Unless you have, and I just haven't seen it. I want to know kind of why you're not as excited about this DJ Moore playing with Justin Fields this year, and maybe what's keeping you away from him.
It's a very, very good question. I've got two super chats, 2 $10 haulers I got to send to the moon real quick, and then I'm going to answer that question. Thank you so much to both of you for dropping those $9 haulers. Kama says, how you feel about my team in the draft so far, Kama, let me put you over here, and I'm going to evaluate your team in a second. I'm going to go looking for your squad. Overcome says, Amon-Ra or Garrett Wilson. I feel like my dudes in my favorite league would want Amon-Ra more. So if I take him first, I might be able to get Garrett Wilson 4 picks later. I think you got to go with the flow on that, Overcome, because you most certainly could be right. You could be looking at a situation where Derek, are you calling in? Derek, by the way, Derek calling. I want to talk about your team. you got to go with the flow, because look what we did. We tried to pull the same thing and it didn't work in the throne draft. We tried to draft Barkley and then get Garrett Wilson. But the reason we thought Garrett Wilson would fall is he was so low on the pre-rank. And we didn't really talk about it. I could just feel that's what the community was trying to do, because they're like, let's maybe get him in the chat, maybe get him later. Let's maybe wait on a couple of our guys. So we let the vote go. Garrett Wilson wasn't even close to the vote getter anyway. So I didn't want to throw him into the 3-person vote, because it would have just triggered who our next pick would be. And so I didn't want to do that. But I think that, yeah, you gotta definitely go with the flow of the ADP and what you're looking at. Let me put this caller on hold. 631, what's your name and where are you calling from, pal?
New Jersey.
What was your first name, bro?
Ty.
Ty? Okay, Ty from New Jersey. Yeah. All right, hang tight, Ty. Put yourself on mute if you could, if that's all right. From New Jersey. Appreciate you calling in. So that's a great question, Overcome. Okay, back to, so go with the flow with whatever you think you can get away with. If trust your gut on that one. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, you can't really go wrong with either. So just, yeah, definitely trying to get both. The question at hand was, what was the player? Just, you'll remind me if you just tell me the player.
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore. The reason you don't hear me talk a lot about DJ Moore is I think he's going like a tad, not a tad too high, but like almost perfect. You know what I mean? Like to the point where I'm usually drafting a player that shouldn't be going where he shouldn't be falling where he's falling. You know, like Walker. I'm taking Walker almost every time he falls to me in round 5 because he doesn't belong there. I'm taking Christian Watson in round 4 or 5 because he doesn't belong there. I'm taking Fields in round 4 or 5 or 5-6 because he doesn't belong there, or Trevor Lawrence in 6 because he doesn't belong there. Gibbs in round 3-4, he doesn't belong there. I'm almost always drafting a player that I can say that phrase about, and I think even if I'm reaching on the ADP, I still can say it. You know what I mean? Like some people think that doesn't go hand in hand, or it goes hand in hand, or you can't sit there and go, I'm going to reach on this player. He doesn't belong here. Like you can. Gibbs, I'll take at 3.3. He belongs in the top 10. No one knows it though. So in the case of DJ Moore, I feel like he's going like what, in round 5 roughly?
Yeah.
I just feel like that's about right. And I would take him if everything fell a certain way, and I'd be like, okay, I'll take him. I don't mind him. If I get sniped on wide receivers, I could take him. I have no problem taking DJ Moore. But I just think he's more good for Fields than he is going to be for fantasy owners in the 5th round. I think he's going to be phenomenal. I think he's going to be 1,100 yards and 6-7 touchdowns, which is a very good wide receiver. I just find guys I think are going to get in the double-digit touchdown range about where he's getting taken. That's the only reason I don't take him. There's nothing more to do than that. I've got no wide receivers yet to pair. Let me just go ahead and I'll take Mingo.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, because I want Watson, but in a lot of my mocks, he gets sniped like a pick or 2 right before me, and then I'm left with like DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, and I'm like,
Yeah. I'm going to go.
And then one more quick question, if you got the time.
Yeah, go ahead.
In my upcoming draft, my big money draft that I got in about a week, and some of my ESPN mocks, I got the 4th pick, and in the 2nd round, Jonathan Taylor has started to fall to me there a little bit. He's not getting picked as much on ESPN at least, and I don't know if that's kind of a smart pick in the 2nd round. I'd want to know your take. I don't know what the exact number is, the 2nd pick, 4th spot, but
bro, let me just put it this way, and this might sound extreme, but I wouldn't even take him in the 3rd round.
Okay.
I know that could backfire on me in a sense, but it wouldn't. Like even if I'm wrong, I'm not wrong. Because guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to take another player that I love just as much. And if I end up being wrong on him, I'm going to laugh. I'm not going to be like, oh, no, I did. Because I'm taking a player I just trust more. I'll take Gibbs over JT 1,000 times out of 1,000. 1,000 times out of 1,000. Look, JT's looking at a vulturing situation. He's coming, if he does come back, which I expect him to come back, he's coming back after being out for a while, which is going to potentially lead to injury, because holding out or being out with injury and coming back and being thrown to the wolves usually leads to an injury. He looks injured in 2 different ways right now, and he's completely unhappy. He hates where he's at. He's not motivated. And he's got, like Barkley at least came back with a smile. Barkley got a little bit of extra cash, even though we think he folded like a chair. He was happy with it. And Barkley's out to prove himself, and he got to work because he's smart. He's like a businessman out there. He's thinking to himself, if I don't go out there and ball out, what's going to be waiting for me at the end of this season? JT's not even really, like, him and Jacobs are Jacobs could end up being a genius at the end of the day, because if the Raiders do rescind his franchise tag and he gets to go sign wherever he wants, we're all going to be like, wow. And that's possible. The Raiders are dumb enough to do that. But I just think it's such a different story when you look at Barkley and then how Jacobs and potentially JT are going to be impacted, and J.K. Dobbins. Like, I want nothing to do with players that are holding out, through August. And I want nothing to do with players I feel like are in bad situations, and JT's in a bad situation. Changing offense, vulturing quarterback for the touchdown production. I want nothing to do with it, bro.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It just remind me, how long did Josh Jacobs hold out last year? I mean, wasn't he holding out until August as well?
I don't remember
if you know.
I don't remember. Does anybody on the phone line remember?
Jacobs was very similar to him last year, and then he obviously popped off this upcoming year.
Yeah, but the other bad thing to go with Jacobs is he got almost 400 touches, and that right there alone is a recipe for injury. Like, there's so many red flags for Jacobs. There's bad offense. They're not sniffing the red zone. Jimmy G's going to not move the football down the field really at all. And turnover city. 8-man fronts. Let Jimmy G beat us. 8-man fronts. Horrible defense, which means horrible field position. And close to 400 touches from the previous season, which equals injury 8 times out of 10.
Yeah.
So, like, the red flags are to the ceiling, the rafters. It's not even like one red flag. It's a pile of them. So, Jacobs is the biggest avoid.
Yeah. I definitely...
Could I be wrong? I could, but guess what? I'm not going to care because I'm taking a safer player. That's like the whole point of, like, of avoiding a guy, and if you're wrong, you're wrong. You're playing an odds game. Like, could Jacobs defy all logic and go out there, ball out, pile drive through 8-man fronts? Jimmy G gets hurt right away, and they bring in Wentz, and Wentz revives his career. Could all those things happen? Sure. Kama, I'm coming to your team in 1 second. All right, hang tight real quick. Let me get through this. And yeah, JT, if he gets traded, there could be a different scenario. If Jacobs' franchise tag gets rescinded by the Raiders and he gets to go sign elsewhere, that could change the landscape. But we don't have that information right now, so we're forced to play within the confines of what we have in front of us. And I just don't see a light at the end of the tunnel that's bright enough for me to forego a Jahmyr Gibbs over JT. There's just no way. Comma, let me look for your team, boy. Let's look at it. Let's see what you're cooking up here. I bet you it's a good-looking team. Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love, Gibbs Walker. Whew. Gibbs Walker, Rashad White. I like it. Chris Olave, Deontay. I'm not huge on Deontay, but I get it. Jahan Dotson, love it. Travis Kelce. There's where it is. There's where the advantage lies. Kelce, Olave, Gibbs, T-Law, Love, very good squad, and this is weekly, so I very, very, very much like the build and what it could potentially do. We've got a caller on the line, 615. Who's this and where are you calling from? What's
Derek
up,
House.
Derek from Nashville? Are you a Derrick Henry fan?
A little bit.
Yeah,
I
okay.
usually follow the Titans, but
Okay.
I did get Chig though. So
Okay. Yeah, you're a smart man. Chig's gonna have a big year. He's got a lot of plays packaged in for him, so no matter what, he's gonna get the ball. I don't think you have to worry about Hopkins, consuming too much because Chig's already got his piece of the pie cut out, and Hopkins and the other guys are just gonna take what's left over and divide that in a lopsided fashion to Hopkins. So I think Chig's gonna be just fine. I'm gonna time out here. Shoot. I was going to time. I timed out. Who'd I get? Alec Pierce. That's not bad. He's been looking good. Okay. What can I do for you, Derek from Nashville?
So, you asked to call in. So about my team.
Oh, Derek.
Yeah.
Bro, there's so many people that have the same name. I didn't even put it together. My boy, Derek. Okay. Derek, appreciate your super chat, by the way. Can I give you another moonshot just for
to the moon?
Go to the moon. Go to the moon, Derek. Appreciate you waiting, and I'm sorry about the delay. So how did you get T-Law and Hurts on the same Superflex team? And is this Dynasty?
So, no, it's redraft.
Okay, this is great.
I went Hurts first, and then I went Love second. See, half the league drafts like it's not Superflex. So they usually draft like a PPR regular.
Mm-hmm. How'd you get T-Law?
Well, I got T-Law in the second. I picked fourth. So Mahomes is gone. I got Hurts, and then everybody, the rest of them picked Fields, Burrow.
Bro, how's T-Law?
Lamar Jackson, and T-Law was sitting right there at the end.
Be honest, Derek. Is your grandma in this league?
Come
on,
it's
man.
all my boys. It's a 15-year-long league. So
is one of them in a coma?
Doing it.
I mean, Derek, they I don't think they knew the assignment. I don't think they knew it was Superflex. I think your commissioner is leaving that out of the bylaws, because there's just no way I've seen and I believe you. I'm just saying there's no way I'll ever experience this where I could get T-Law in the second round from the 4 pick. Fourth the last pick in the second round, and you got T-Law. And then you went ahead and got Gibbs. You went ahead and got Garrett Wilson. You got Christian Watson. This team, I mean, this is the kind of team that, man, you could convince them to turn this into a dynasty league. You'd be cleaning up for years. But you're definitely the front runner without me even looking at the rest of the teams. This is the front running team for sure.
I got Gibbs in the 4th. I was shocked. So
that's about right in a Superflex, though.
Gibbs. Yeah.
That's about right in a Superflex, though. Usually Gibbs does go round 4 because he's in 3 and a 1 QB. It's about 1 round difference roughly. But that's a great squad, bro. You got a bunch of ballers there. Straight ballers, awesome. Man. Great job.
I was worried about my tight ends, but you think Chick's going to do out?
Bro, Chick and Laporta are 2 of the sneakiest starting tight ends you could have. Yeah, they're at the back end of the top 12 for people, but that's great because nobody sees them coming. But every year there seems to be a guy outside the top 10 tight ends that climbs into the top 5. And Laporta, Chigakonkwo, Cole Kmet, these are a couple of the tight ends, and Kincaid, of course, that could be those top 5, 6 guys this year. One of them could be. Laporta's looking magnificent right now in camp. There's a vacancy of targets on the side of the field because Jameson's out for 6 weeks that Laporta's going to gobble up. And even though Gibbs is going to catch a lot, that's a phenomenal squad. And you'll start Chig in week 1, but maybe Laporta starts making you think twice about that, like week 2, 3, 4, when you start seeing him continue to do well. But I love Laporta, bro. He's going to have a good year. These rookie tight ends are special. And there's a reason they're talked up as the best tight end class to come out of college in a long time. But the crazy part is pretty much all of them but Mayer landed in an amazing spot. You know, Kincaid in Buffalo, name the last tight end that was one of the top, like, breakout, next Travis Kelce tight ends that landed in that type of situation. There is none. Pitts landed in Atlanta. And so Mahomes, Kelce, Kincaid, and Josh Allen, that's the closest thing we could even, dial up. That's an amazing fit. And then Laporta in Detroit, where I think Goff's going to play way above his ability in that situation. He really is. And Laporta's going to be thrown to the fire because they need somebody to catch the football while Jameson's out. Not to mention, Jameson caught 1 pass last year in 6 games. So it's not like we know what we're for sure getting. And it's not like, when people say that offense is going to struggle without Jameson, they didn't have him last year. So there's nothing's changed for him. They only added Jahmyr Gibbs and Laporta. Things they're going to be better than they were last year. Jameson wasn't doing anything last year. So.
Right. Well, I feel like I went Chiefs, Bears, Lions, heavy.
Chiefs, Bears, Lions. Don't worry about it. Chiefs, a potent offense. Lions, potent offense. Bears, going to be a potent offense, whether people want to believe it or not. So don't think for a second you made any mistakes. Your team's absolute straight fire, and Smitty approved almost the entire thing.
Sweet. Hey, one last question. So I got one running back spot. That's where Gibbs will go. Then I've got 2 wide receiver spots and that'll be Wilson and I can't remember my second guy.
Your team, you have Derek, you have Wilson, Watson, DJ Moore, and Tony, and Elijah Moore. Yeah, Christian Watson's a baller.
Watson's my number 2, but I've got a running back / wide receiver spot. Should DJ Moore go in that, or should I run Pacheco?
You're gonna have to make that determination once we know how healthy Pacheco is gonna be. But I certainly love both of those guys. I think they're gonna fight. They're gonna fight that out. But I'd say probably DJ Moore until Pacheco proves he's healthy. But he can prove it before week 1. We just got to see it. And you can hang tight. You can hang tight real quick, and I'll circle back around. So hang tight. Travis Rowe, Marsman extraordinaire. Travis, what do you got, pal?
Hey, I was actually just going to bring up. You kind of covered it. That the past couple of years, like the number 2 wide receiver, like in terms of yardage, has been like Khalif Raymond, and I think Hawkinson might have had it part of last year or something for the Lions. So just having those better pass catchers, and it's going to open things up for Amon-Ra too.
Yeah.
Which, I think people don't take that into consideration quite as much as they should. And then with that, I was just going to ask you, like, do you think Laporta is the type of guy who can really just come right out of the gate and be productive, or you think he might be a guy that might take, 5-6 games to kind of get ramped up? And I was going to ask the same about Musgrave, because he's been looking good as well.
Yeah, Musgrave, all of them, like I was saying earlier, all the tight ends but Mayer landed in a great spot, and Musgrave's going to be thrown to the fire. Why? Because the receiving room is young and they need pass catchers. Laporta, they need pass catchers. Kincaid, there's not only enough volume to feed him, even if Gabe Davis stepped up, but Gabe Davis hasn't stepped up the last year and a half, really. And so they're eager to maybe get Kincaid out there in the slot and maybe have Kincaid potentially become the number 2 receiving option on the team. So all these rookies are looking amazing. They're just looking fantastic. But I agree with you. Luke Musgrave's looking very, very nice, and he's a big boy. He's a big target. Jordan Love's going to need a safety blanket. And as much as I like Jaden Reed and Dobbs and then, of course, Watson, Musgrave could be like an end zone, favorite for Jordan Love, who I think is going to surprise people and turn heads. I like Jordan Love a lot. A lot.
I like him a lot, yeah. And I think people have to consider that, definitely still kind of temper some expectations with, rookie tight ends. But these guys, especially like Laporta, Musgrave, Kincaid, Kincaid obviously, but you look at them and the teams are treating them more like wide receivers.
Yeah.
Whereas is it Darnell Washington? He's going to be blocking a lot in Pittsburgh, and he may play that more traditional role. He can catch passes. He's a great athlete too, but they're going to ask him to block. Where these other teams still have him doing some blocking, but they're definitely looking at them as first and foremost receiving options. It seems like so. The game is kind of shifting in that sense.
Yeah. 2 super chats here. Last Action Hero with the $10 hauler. All $10 haulers get moonshots. So Last Action Hero, appreciate you. Said made a comment about Amon-Ra not being on the Moonman list in a previous video. Now that he's a Marsman, I'll be taking a lap. No, don't take a lap, because I hadn't officially put him on. We talked about he needs to be a Moonman or Marsman. He needs to be on the one list. He's a Marsman. And I hadn't officially put him on the Marsman list, but we were waiting to do that as an official crowning. So there's no lap needed. Last Action Hero. Appreciate your $10 hauler. Don't feel bad. And again, we're not always going to agree. Like I said I think I remember your comment. I just commented on it earlier, and I didn't mean that in a bad way. But we're not always going to agree. I said A, we're not always going to agree. B, we agree on these players you're talking about. So Amon-Ra and Flowers was on the. I was just talking about this with Travis a little while ago. Flowers was on the Moon Men list, then got taken off. He's put on the Satellite Men list, and he was taken off. And quite honestly, he's looking unguardable in camp, and he might need to be added back on the list. Oh my God! Oh my goodness! I think this might be the first time that I've ever been ranked to score the most amount of points by Underdog.
Whoa!
That worries me. Because normally they're undervaluing my rookies and all that, but look at this ranking here. They've got me at 202, and they don't have a single other team in the 190s even. This might be. This might be the team.
Do you think that's because do they project rookies better because it's like a weekly thing in this format? Like they think rookies may be better as the year goes on, or
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm just trying to figure out because all the other formats, they just, kind of trounce the rookies.
I do know that when you have better quarterbacks, they tend to project better for you, and that might be something in the algorithm that's telling. That might be very telling for us to go, okay, maybe in the weeklies we need to draft 4 quarterbacks so that you have, when your team's popping off, you have the ultimate shot at just, hammering at home with the quarterback play. And I timed out on Purdy, but I don't mind that pick as my 4th quarterback. I normally wouldn't draft 4, I'd draft 3, but in the weeklies, I really do believe that is an important position. But this is the team that's being projected for 202 points a week. Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott, Derek Carr, Brock Purdy, Saquon, Etienne, Damian Pierce, Isaiah Pacheco, Tank Bigsby. I think Tank and Etienne together was a great move because if Etienne were to go down, Bigsby could still have he could have 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in a game. He'd be a perfect fill-in. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Christian Watson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jonathan Mingo, Curtis Samuel, Alec Pierce, Jaden Reed, and Pitts and Kincaid. Pretty lovely team there, and it's a weekly. So, Kama, I'm going to look at your team one more time. Kama's got Lawrence, Love, Gibbs, Walker, Rashad White, Charbonnet, Olave, Deontay, Jahan, Tony. Love it, man. Tank Dell, Puka, nice job. Kelsey Musgrave. Great squad. Let me see if we got Okafor in here. He's got Herbert, Anthony Richardson, Breece Hall, Miles Sanders, Kamara, P. Ryan. Good team. Garrett Wilson, Lamb, Waller. Good squad. Okafor. Over there, very, very, very good squad. And who else is in here? Mr. Punch. Mr. Punch has Hurts, Cousins, Mixon, Connor, J.K., AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Keenan. I've seen you draft better, Mr. Punch, but it's a good team. I've seen you crush it before. A little G-rated. I just want to say generator. G-rated. Fields, Bryce Young, Bijan, Josh Jacobs, Alexander Madison, Waddle, DJ Moore, Pickens. It's a good team, kind of dependent on Jacobs right now, but good squad. And then I think that's all the ballers. I don't know if anybody else is in here that's got but I was pretty happy with the squad that I drafted. It's one of my favorite weekly teams I've drafted so far. And apparently Underdog likes it too. Andrew with the $5 hauler says, have Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra, AJ Brown. Should I trade one? My running backs are Najee, Miles Sanders, Cam Akers, and Gibson. At tight end, I have Waller and Laporta. So you're fine at tight end. You have JJ, Amon-Ra, AJ Brown. Should I trade one? I don't think so. I mean, I'd trade Cam. I'd trade Cam and Miles Sanders for one better running back. Give me a Gibbs for both those guys. I don't think you need to move anybody necessarily, but if I was to trade one, I'd trade AJ Brown and try to get into a Gibbs plus something, or a Bijan or whatever. But other than that, I mean, your team's freaking solid as can be, bro. I like it. But yeah, look to move Miles and Cam. I know some people love Miles Sanders. If you do, trust your gut and don't listen to me. I'm just not a huge Miles Sanders truther. Doesn't mean he can't do well. Smitty, would you trade Kupp and Madison for JT, Christian Watson, and Bateman? That's a tough one, boys, because Kupp is 30. He's injured. He's probably still dealing with 2 injuries right now. even though everybody's going to want to say, no, out of nostalgia, I don't think he was fully back to form when he got hurt. I think that's why he got hurt. Compensation injury. He looked sluggish out there. Maybe he was fully healed on his surgery on his ankle, but his ankle was so bad he had to have surgery. You know, people need to remember that he's 30 years old. He's had an ACL tear, which isn't necessarily hampering him right now, but his ankle injury was so bad he had to have tightrope surgery, which is what Tony Pollard had done because he broke his fibia. So, I mean, and the difference between the two is, in tightrope surgery is not, it's pretty successful. That's why I'm not too worried about Pollard, and I wouldn't be worried about Kupp if he wasn't 30 years old coming off of an injury that was so bad that they just waited. They were going to bring him back. They couldn't. And then he was literally like less than a month ago saying that he was not going full go yet. We're talking about being in July. Like, that's crazy to me. And then he gets this hamstring issue. As much as I'm scared of JT, you got to take JT and Watson for Madison and Kupp, in my opinion. But then I try and flip JT. Flip him into Gibbs. You get Gibbs and Watson for Kupp, then I love it. That's probably where I would go with that. And this final super chat here from Tyler. My friends found you, not happy, block them, says Tyler. Tyler, I'm sorry, but don't worry. The bigger we get, the better the content. And you're going to have fun with the chatter back and forth, the banter between league mates. Some of our best callers are like buddies that call in, like Gustavo and his buddy. God, I always forget one of their names whenever I remember one name. I don't remember the other. What's his name? Not Scuba. Scuba Steve. Where's Scuba Steve been? Gustavo and somebody help me out. Does anybody remember Gustavo, the Hawaii boys? Gustavo and Damn it, I'm forgetting their names. All right, let me go back over to Stefan, who hasn't talked in quite a while. Stefan, what's up? I think you're muted, Stefan. Hello?
Oh, yeah, I was.
Yeah, what's
That's
up?
My bad.
No problem. What's up, Stefan?
Yeah, I had a couple rankings to ask you about, kind of related to the 2-3 turn.
Mm-hmm.
Because I listened to you a lot on my way to work, and I was kind of curious because I feel like I rarely hear your thoughts on Chubb. So I was hoping to kind of, I don't know if you could kind of give me your take on Chubb on the 2-3 turn if he were to fall that.
I love him at the 2-3 turn. Bro, that's like a whole different conversation. If he fell to the 2-3, that's about as unthinkable as the who was the other earlier caller? Was it you, Stefan, or was it someone else that said St. Brown to the 2-3 turn?
Yeah, it was. Remember, half point, 10 team. 0.25 per rush.
Yeah, so Chubb falling to the 2-3 turn, St. Brown falling to the 2-3 turn, those would be equally as shocking to me. Those would be very shocking, like in dual fashion. I don't like Chubb in round 1. I love him in mid to late round 2. He was literally the best running back in fantasy football. But up until the return of Deshaun Watson for the last 6 weeks, and then boom, he just kind of dropped off because, I mean, he was still doing good yardage-wise and yards per carry, but he scored zero touchdowns. Zero touchdowns in the final 6 weeks.
Upset.
So that has me hesitant to move him like into round 1. You know what I mean? But am I avoiding him? No. Am I optimistic that they get the ball rolling a little bit there in Cleveland? Sure. But to the tune of let's keep him in round 2. You know what I mean? So 2-3 turn I love. I will say that Deshaun Watson's looked very shaky the last day or so. He missed a lot of throws today. He connected on a couple. He had a couple with Amari Cooper that looked good, but he absolutely overthrew, I believe, the running back that was running some sort of like route across the middle of the field, and he just launched the ball like completely over his head. There was another play where he overthrew a receiver or underthrew a receiver. There's another play, like, not that you don't make bad throws. I'm just saying he looked shaky, and even the beat reporters that are Cleveland like geared were like, he looked pretty shaky today. He made some good throws, but he missed a lot of them too. So just a little concern, until I see Watson bounce back to form. as I said a while ago, the best thing the Browns could have done would have been to bring in DeAndre Hopkins. Had they brought in DeAndre Hopkins, that would have put Watson back on the map. I think right now he's going to struggle to get where he needs to get. I think he might still be good, but I don't know that he'll ever return to form. He could have maybe returned to form with Hopkins, I think, because he'd have been so comfortable with that connection. But I don't know. I'm high on Chubb, but I just don't know that I can go any higher than like 15. But I like him there. I like him at 15.
Can I give you 4 players to rank? Just to, like, I'm going to buy your rankings. I don't want you to think I'm trying to pilfer or whatever, but I'm curious to what your take would be given my settings. If I were to, if we were talking Chubb, Pollard, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra.
Yeah, the ranking, you can get all this. Not to say I'm not going to tell you this. I'm just saying, yeah, anybody who wants year-round rankings, the trade calculator, bold predictions, thefantasyfootballshow.com. Appreciate that reminding me. Read them off for me one more time, pal.
Okay, Chubb, Pollard, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra.
Okay. This one's kind of easy. Let me put this caller on hold real quick. 858 caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
And I'm calling from Massachusetts.
Okay, Ryan, hang tight. You mind putting yourself on mute real quick while I help this gentleman, and I'll come back over and help you.
Sweet, yeah.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Ryan from Mass. Okay. Let me put you in here. Okay, so let me rank these for you. Second rounder, a 12-13 overall turn. A.J. Brown's a 12-13 over. You could say 11. I'd say he's a 11 to 14 overall player. A.J. Brown, and then Amon-Ra is an 8 to 12. So just to give you a sense of, okay, A.J. Brown can double dip in both those rounds. Amon-Ra is an 8 to 12 overall player, meaning he's a lock solid top 12 pick for me. So he's number 1, clear as day. And then just because his ADP is greater, though, and his ranking's going to be higher, doesn't mean that I don't quietly like Pollard as the second best player, though. And if we're talking cost of entry, Pollard in the third round, where he is often falling, especially with the rumors of Zeke Elliott maybe returning to Dallas. And, we've seen a lot of skeptical people drive Pollard's value down. I almost like Pollard the most if he's in the third round. If he's in the second round, I like Amon-Ra the most. Even though he's a first rounder, I still love his value. This is what the whole video is about today. So that's kind of where I'm at there.
Okay, based on what you said about Pollard in the third, because if we're in this scenario mocking with Pollard falling to the third and then Jahmyr Gibbs on the turn, because I'm drafting from the second, he's never or very rarely available. It would be once in a blue moon that I would see him fall to the fourth. Would you take Pollard over Gibbs? If both of them fell into the third?
I would take. God, that's a tough one. I probably would split that if I had two different leagues side by side. This isn't my cop out answer, even though I would categorize it as the only cop out answer I would give you. It's more of a. It's like a diversification answer.
Would it be easier if I was this is the big money league?
I'd probably say give me Gibbs, and that's crazy to say, but I truly believe Gibbs is going to have a top 10 overall top 10 overall player type season this year. But I love Pollard. I love both of them. And the truth is, you could draft both of them in most scenarios. You draft Pollard in 2, you draft Gibbs in 3, and you could go Chase or, Amon-Ra or whatever in 1, Garrett Wilson in 1. I mean, Garrett Wilson, Pollard, and Gibbs would be amazing. even more so if you could get Gibbs in round 3 or Gibbs in round 4 and Pollard in 3. It just depends on how many grandmas are in the league and everything. There's a lot of things that come into play.
I don't have grandmas in my league, but I have like 2 actually 3. Well, I'll say 2 hardcore homers, like a Jets fan. So I know Garrett Wilson's not going to be there. I know Brees is probably unlikely to be there.
Yeah, tough to say, bro. I mean, really, you just gotta feel it out. Like all these scenarios we could keep going through, but like until you get on the clock and you see who's available, it really is hard to predict. But Pollard is going 2-3, Gibbs is going in 3, Chubb's going in 2, AJ Brown's going 11 to 14 overall area. Amon-Ra is going to cost you a top 12. He might slip 2, it just depends, but I don't know, man. I mean, we're splitting hairs with Pollard and Gibbs and all that, but I love both of them. You can't really go wrong with either one.
I got one last question.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna leave you alone.
Okay, go ahead. You're fine.
I think we're talking about the 4th pick. Well, basically, who would you take, Calvin Ridley or Christian Watson?
Probably Calvin Ridley because he's got a 3rd round valuation, whereas Watson's going like 4 or 5, depending on where you're drafting. So,
if you could pick either one in like the 4th round.
I mean, since Ridley's going in the 3rd, that's the better value. And if Ridley, like, here's the thing you got to understand though, is if Ridley goes in the 4th round, then that means Watson's falling to the 5th because your league's grandma-like. You know what I mean? There's no way Ridley falls to the 4th round in a Shark League, which means that there's no way Watson's going to be going in the 4th round because he's probably going in the 5th. You know what I mean? It's all connected. Someone tells me Gibbs is going around 4, then I can tell you that league you're going to get this steal here. You're going to probably get this steal here. You're going to get Walker around 5. You're going to get Fields around 5 or 6. You know, depending on maybe they go quarterback hungry or heavy or something like that. Like, there's no way.
Yeah,
there's London or Watson's falling. London or Watson's falling to your next pick if, let's say, for whatever reason, Ridley's there in 4. That's ridiculous if Ridley's there in 4.
Yeah, one of the homers is a Green Bay fan. That's like the director of ops where I work, and I'm like, he's gonna take him, but I'm like, would I rather have Calvin Ridley than Christian Watson? And it kind of just comes down to that because I know Christian Watson's not going to fall.
The answer is yes. Calvin Ridley's a 3rd rounder. Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Easy call. All right, hang tight. You can
right,
circle back.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, appreciate you. Let's go over to Ryan from Massachusetts. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm good, bro.
My main question that I have is kind of surrounds the Bengals and particularly Joe Burrow, because I don't know if you saw what Jamar Chase said today, but he said that he would want, Joe to sit out for week 1. And then he also said, I think, either that same day or a couple days ago that, as long as, Joe comes back by like week 5, we'll be okay. And obviously that's just like, Jamar
he's not the doctor. People are ridiculous, man. The fact that is driving his value down is amazing. Absolutely amazing. You're gonna ask the wide receiver about when his quarterback's coming back from his calf strain. And he says, I don't care. I mean, maybe he's saying I don't care if he comes back, just as long as he comes back healthy. I'd rather him sit out until 2026. Like who cares what he says? It's weird that he said it, but it doesn't make me run away from Joe Burrow because I guarantee you he doesn't know more than we know about it, like, or what's being reported on it. Maybe there's something to this later that we find out. Like, I guess it's possible. Maybe Joe's like, hey, it's a bigger tear than we thought. And he's like, not sure how to answer the question. And he kind of spilled the beans in a weird way. Who knows? I don't think that's the case. My answer is the same as it's been the last like couple weeks or week and a half. Is that if let me just put it this way, it's riskier to assume that this thing's worse than it is and not take advantage of the fall in ADP than it is to take Joe Burrow with the calf risk. You're running a higher risk of
Right.
letting somebody else beat the hell out of you in a draft because you let Joe Burrow fall to them in the 6th round. That's a bigger risk. That's a way bigger risk. Everyone
Okay.
needs to look at this as an opportunity, a new opportunity from a new lens of Joe Burrow value. It sucks if you drafted him around 4. Some of you drafted him around 3. I tried to tell everybody to wait until round 4 because you're just getting amazing value there. Some of you drafted him in 3 and 4, and that still might hold true as great value. It still might be amazing value. But let's just say he missed 2 or 3 weeks or whatever. Joe Burrow in round 6 coming back in week 3 is potentially going to win leagues. So from this moment forward, don't worry about the past. What drafts do you have coming up? And not to mention my video today, or was it yesterday? Yesterday was Fields or Burrow, Burrow or Fields. Which one should you draft? And my answer was you should go with Fields if you've already gone super heavy Burrow, and use this as a push-off point to say, hey, I haven't been doing my Justin Fields shares any good. I need to go out there and collect more of them. But in that, you still should have at least a 30% exposure to the new Joe Burrow ADP. That would be my advice. My advice is to shift over to Fields a little bit and just consume as many shares as you can while you can, because I think his value could climb and you're going to miss out on it. But consume at least 30% exposure to Joe Burrow's new 6th round ADP, or you're going to be sorry. Because if he comes back in week 1 and you got him in the 6th or 7th round, that's the same value as last year. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Right. And I got one more question. So it kind of is centered around, Chase and the Bengals. So I have the 103 in my normal draft, but so far, I think the first 2 picks should be Jefferson and Chase. And I know what you said about Kupp, and you said a little something about Tyreek Hill earlier. And so I've been kind of off hill, but I'm in that, kind of awkward spot where I missed out on Jefferson and Chase, but then, I can't take another high upside wide receiver. I've been trying to move up. I've been trying to move down, but I haven't been successful. What do you think I should do?
If you can't move up or down from what pick?
The 103. I've been shopping it, just trying to get.
Just take Bijan.
Shopping and trying to move.
Just take Bijan. Bro, I'm taking him at 1, 2, and 3 all day long. Take Kelsey. Kelsey's fine too. In a redraft.
Okay.
Is it dynasty or redraft?
No, it's redraft.
Why are you afraid to take Bijan at 3?
I don't know. I just think with the Kyle Pitts situation last year, the head coach literally came out and said I do not care about fantasy football, and Kyle Pitts had all the same draft capital as Bijan, and the coaching staff just completely ignored,
can you see
all
my
that extra stuff.
Can you see my screen though right now? Are you able to see it?
I muted it.
Okay,
I
so
went off of YouTube just so it wouldn't echo. But.
Okay, I'll describe what's on my screen. What's on my screen is the Falcons were the number 1 team in the National Football League in attempts. What's on my screen is the Falcons were the 3rd in the National Football League in rushing yards. What's on my screen is the Falcons were the 4th best in yards per carry and top 10 in touchdowns, top 10 in 20-plus yards, top 4 in 40-plus yard runs. Overall, they're the number 1 rushing offense in the National Football League. Number 1. So when people, and I'm just saying this to emphasize the point, not to tear your take down or anything, is that when people try and use Kyle Pitts as a reason to run away from Bijan, they're not understanding that that's really tied just to Kyle Pitts. London was on a 1,300-plus yard pace with Ritter in the lineup. This team is going to move the football. This is the best rushing offense in the National Football League, better than the Niners. You have people that say, oh, Christian McCaffrey is going to get used. Bijan's going to get used more than Christian McCaffrey. And he's the best prospect to come out of college at the running back position, in my opinion, ever, potentially. In terms of coming out of college and what we expect. I'm not saying he'll be the best player ever. I'm saying this is the most polished player that I've ever seen, at least in my 20 years. Adrian Peterson and him are probably neck and neck in terms of me saying, oh my God, this is a total can't miss player. This is completely crazy that more people aren't feeling the way that I'm feeling about it. But when he says he doesn't care about fantasy, what I just showed you absolutely tells a different story in terms of what is being produced on the field. This is the number 1 rushing team in the National Football League. 559 rushing attempts, bro. 559 rushing attempts. Do you think Bijan's not getting 250 of those? And even then, that's not even half. That's not even half, bro. So there's no threat of anything. There's no threat of anything. This guy is a running absolute architect in Arthur Smith. And maybe he doesn't care about fantasy football when someone that phrase has been taken out of context so much. He said it in regards to Kyle Pitts, or in terms of the fantasy production that everybody's just, why are you using Kyle Pitts? Why aren't you using Kyle Pitts? And nothing to do with the running game. You know what I mean? They're running the football, bro. They're running the football. They're running the football a lot. And anybody that's afraid of Tyler Algier taking away Bijan's workload, 559 attempts. There's room for an Algier. There's room for Cordero. There's room for their grandmothers to run a couple carries into the end zone. There's room for a ton. And he's talking about Kyle Pitts. You cannot tie that to the rushing attack. That's. And I'm not saying this about you, but that's a lazy take that someone's feeding other people that unfortunately, bro, you're busy. You don't have time to sit here like I do and comb through everything. You rely upon the people you listen to give you the information. And it's not bad that you're listening to other content creators, but whatever lazy take someone's been shoveling down people's throats about how Kyle Pitts is going to translate to how Bijan's going to be used is ridiculous. Ridiculous. 559 rushing attempts. Guy, we'd be scared to death if he got more than half of those. He'd be injured.
Hey. Smitty, what did you say was 559?
Thank you, by the way.
That they had?
Yeah. Who was that I was just talking to? Ryan? I appreciate the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't take any offense to anything I was saying. I was merely talking about.
Of course.
Yeah. Who is it? Travis? Who was saying?
Yeah. I was going to say, if you look at last year, and it's not going to be like this year, but Cordero Patterson and Algier, they only got 354 carries themselves. So they were handing off to other backs, and Mariota ran a little bit. And so, like you said, there's already plenty of carries to go around. And also, I feel like people forget, I don't know if it was coaches or scouts or what, were saying, I think it was after the combine that, or someone from Texas maybe was saying Bijan literally could have been a wide receiver. He's that good at
definitely. And the other thing people need to realize is that these numbers that I'm showing right here, these unbelievable numbers by the Falcons rushing attack and Arthur Smith's running stable, these are all without Bijan. So you look at the yardage. If Bijan was under center, that would say 3,000 plus. If Bijan was behind center, if Bijan were in the backfield, it would be 3,000 yards plus. If Bijan was in the backfield, that would be 5.4 or 5.5 a carry instead of 4.9. If Bijan were in the backfield, that'd say 25 plus touchdowns potentially. So I just want everyone to understand that we're looking at last year's numbers, and we got to be careful not to assume those are this year's numbers. Because they're not going to be. They're going to be so much better.
Yeah, the one other thing I was going to say, too, was, this isn't anything to take away from Algier because, he did really well in the opportunity.
For sure.
Got, but, he was a fifth-round pick, and Bijan was the 8th overall pick. So just the talent level. I know that's not always a perfect comparison because people fall in the draft or get missed and they fall into the right system, all that. But, Algier did about as much as you could expect him to do last year with that. And he was a 5th-round pick. So the talent level that Bijan is coming in with is just so much beyond what we've seen in that system.
Mm-hmm. All right, good points. Cub from Cali. What else you got?
Yeah, what's good?
What's up?
I think, also something I've been listening to you. I think you're kind of wrong about. I don't know. I'm pretty deep in with the Raiders, and I feel like Josh McDaniels changed the whole scheme with the whole offense, and I feel like beginning of last season, the PFF grade for the Raiders offensive line, we were ranked 31st.
There we go.
And by the end of the
there we go. I heard a week. I heard a week, Hub. I heard a wee, so I know where this is going.
Okay. So they finished in the top 10 on PFF grades by the end of the season, and they brought back everybody. They also brought a couple other people that they brought in. So I feel like the strength of the offensive line and what we could do with the number, like we had a number one wide receiver, number one running back. Like I don't see why we can't duplicate, because Carter had a really bad season, and I don't feel like. I mean, we could literally have a quarterback that had the same shitty season and still produce a number one running back and a number one wide receiver.
See,
top three.
I think you're underestimating or undervaluing how good Carr is, even though he wasn't winning you games in an awful situation. Like, there's a reason Aaron Rodgers didn't go to the Raiders. And this might be hard to hear, and I could be wrong, so take it with a grain of salt, or if you're a huge Raider fan. But there's a reason. Let me also put into perspective from the players' level. Okay, what did Josh Jacobs say about signing his franchise tag early in the offseason? Do you remember?
Yeah.
He said, "I will sign it." He said, "I will sign it if we reload and go for a championship." What did Josh Jacobs do the moment you guys signed Jimmy Garoppolo? Said he's out. He doesn't want to play for the Raiders. Okay, what did Devontae Adams say the moment you guys signed Jimmy Garoppolo? He said, "This is not the decision I would have made. This is not the direction I would have went," and he was completely unhappy. So that tells you something about the quarterback decision. And you can say that the lack of wins or the fact that the Raiders are constantly playing from behind, and you guys had a horrible defense, and maybe you've improved that here or there, but the fact that you're replacing a guy that you felt like in some ways was inefficient or incapable of leading you to victory is going to put you in a better spot. Like you can only upgrade or go up from here is not true, because Jimmy Garoppolo can't throw more than 10, 15 yards down the field. And he's a first read guy. He's not a deep thrower. And I disagree that Adams has even a shot. If Jimmy's under center, maybe you guys bring in Wentz because Jimmy gets hurt by midseason minimum. And if Jimmy can't throw downfield, you can't tie Devontae Adams to any of his old production. You just can't say things like, and I'm not saying you said this, but people do, he's Adams. He'll get his. He's so good. He'll get his. Name a time Adams didn't have a gunslinger that was laser locking on his number one wide receiver. The answer is you don't have an example, because he was in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. He was playing with Derek Carr. Both are two of the most laser locking on one receiver type quarterbacks in the National Football League. And they both throw tons of air yards and throw missiles down the field. And so Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't do that. I don't know how Adams could come even close to last year's production. Maybe he catches a lot of short passes, has low yards per catch, makes up for it with a lot of, PPR points potentially. But this is not a 10-plus touchdown receiver in this offense with Jimmy Garoppolo, who disappointed your team so badly when he showed up injured and lied about it that they had to cancel his welcome to the Raiders press conference, Jimmy, and take away his signing bonus, convert it into salary, and said, "You better pass your physical or we're cutting you." And he started off his career as a Las Vegas Raider on that leg. Like, this is not a good situation, bro. I'm sorry.
I hear you. But I don't know. I feel like they put everybody in a situation where they fit the scheme and everybody knows what the plan is. And
this sounds optimistic. Talk to me. And can I also say that I appreciate you. and I appreciate your fandom. I appreciate your loyalty to your team, and you're trying to make the best of it. And maybe I'm wrong, and you can come back in, and I'll be so happy, bro, if I'm wrong for you, because I can tell you're a true fan, and I'd be so happy if I was wrong. I'll hit the moon button. I'll take a lap. I'll do whatever it takes to make you feel good. But I mean, everything you're saying is just optimistic fluff. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like everybody knows the role. Everybody's ready to go. They look good in the huddle. They look good in their uniforms.
No, but I'm just saying, like, for a first year under a new coach, a whole new scheme for our offensive line to be ranked 32, and then we didn't even have added like a whole bunch of pieces. It was a lot of moving pieces in the offensive alignment throughout the whole season. And then by the end of the season, to be ranked a top 10 offensive lineman and still bring everybody back, I feel like that was the main product of what made Jacobs be a top 1 running back. So, yeah, maybe I'm not sure if it's going to be Jacobs there, but I just feel like whoever is behind the offensive lineman is going to be producing, because our tight end, Waller, was never really a blocker.
Now you got a rookie,
so,
though.
Bringing in,
Yeah,
but we still got Hooper. Hooper's a vet. So Hooper and Mayer's a big boy. So, like, I feel like he's a good blocking tight end, and he could catch. So, I don't know. Just bringing in
here's the final thought I have in the final point is that I get what you're saying, but you know what Derek Carr did for you is he made that offensive line production better than it's going to be this year, because when you throw downfield, you stretch the defense, bro. Like, defenses had to accommodate for that. They had to say, this is Devontae Adams. This is Derek Carr. Regardless of what some people think of Derek Carr, he's a threat to throw the football down the field. He throws missiles down the field, and Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't. And so you're going to have a whole lot. You're going to have a whole lot of more 8-man fronts and tightened up defenses that are going to crowd the box and stack it against Jacobs or whoever's running the football. And your running back is holding out, essentially. He's not coming in to sign his deal, and he's going to come back and face 8-man fronts. He's not looking at the same defensive schemes that he faced last year with Derek Carr. That's the problem that I think you're going to end up seeing is, like, you're going to see stacked boxes, bro, and Jacobs is not breaking through them. And the fact that he had over almost 400 touches last year, he's on the verge of what we call a total, like, deflated season and just unraveling, because there's so many things going against him, bro. But I'm rooting for you. I truly am. I was in Las Vegas, and there was a lot of Raiders fans that came up and hung out with me during the live streaming that I did at Circa Las Vegas Casino and Stadium Swim, and I love the Raider fans are so loyal. So, like, I hats off to you, and I kind of envy you, because I don't have that kind of passion for the Cardinals as much, because I'm constantly doing news and football, and I have to take off my fandom hat, and pretty much I never really get to wear it, and you start becoming immune to it, you know. And so right now I feel like I'm all about players more so than about a team. And it's exciting because, bro, even if you struggle this year, which I think you will, I think, you're in it for the long haul, and when things bounce back, it'll be that much sweeter. So I'm rooting for you, though.
I know how you're saying, like, being optimistic. I do, like, it's kind of weird because I'm so used to having my car, and it felt like so comfortable having that guy there. Like, I kind of knew what I was getting every season, but, like, this season, there is questions. I'm not, like, saying
big questions, bro.
But
Jimmy's not going to be under center long. Don't worry. The guy gets hurt. He gets hurt like crazy. He's going to be inefficient. Bring in Wentz, bro. Bring in Wentz. Trade for Trey Lance. Do something different. But Jimmy's not the answer. Jimmy's not starting 17 games or even close. I almost 100% in my gut feel that's crazy. Okay.
If you're at
Yeah, Cub, I appreciate your you calling in, and I'm sorry if some of that was negative for you. But I totally love that you're a major fan, and you want to call in and talk Raiders in a positive way, or just remind me to not be negative, and I'll talk some positivity. I'll talk about I don't know what I'll find, but I'll find something for you. Okay, whether it's Mayer's future, I like Mayer a lot, so maybe you bring in somebody. Maybe you guys bring in Wentz, and Wentz can throw a deep ball. He's not a great quarterback, but what if Wentz started throwing missiles that half the time met Devontae Adams downfield? That's better than Jimmy Garoppolo throwing 6-yard stinkers into the dirt. I don't know. All right. Cub, hang tight if you want to ask more questions here. Let me go over to Jet. Jet's been waiting, then Dakota, and then I'm going to swing back over to Travis. Jet, what's up, my guy? You're live.
Yo, what's up?
What's up,
I had
pal?
a question. I just started a fantasy league, and I made a trade that, based on my team, I felt like I won, but I'm just kind of seeing how you feel about it.
All right, hit me with it.
So I traded, it's just a 1-for-1, but I traded Nick Chubb for Amon-Ra St. So I got Nick Chubb, and then I sent St. Brown. Because I already had, I feel like I have a solid receiver room, and I feel like George Pickens is going to come on this year. So I have him on my bench, and I'm like, man, I wanted to have that extra running back just in case I need a trade or something. Because my quarterback position is kind of weak, and my tight end position is weak.
I guess it depends on what your depth was, but I would say overall, I'm drafting St. Brown. As I said, this show, he's a top 5 wide receiver. He's a top 10 overall player, and Chubb's in the second round for me. So I think if you needed an RB, this is an arguable trade for sure. Because Chubb can deliver top 10 overall numbers. So I don't hate it at all. I'm just saying, like, push comes to shove in a vacuum, I'm drafting St. Brown over Chubb. But you need an RB, bro. There's nothing wrong with Chubb. There's nothing wrong with Barkley. There's nothing wrong with a lot of those guys. But I would take Amon-Ra in a redraft setting. Now, is this Dynasty?
No, it's
good.
just like redraft. But the reason why I'm feeling that way, so I'll say my squad real quick. I got Rodgers as my QB, Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb, AJ Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Greg Dulcich, Travis Etienne.
Well, who are your running back?
Stevenson.
Who are your running backs? You got Stevenson, you got Etienne, and who's your other running back?
Yep. Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb.
And what were your wide receivers? Because you had a ton of running backs already, though.
I got AJ Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Lockett, Cortland Sutton.
I have to say you were more stacked at running back than you were wide receiver, though.
Yeah, I probably
wouldn't have done that.
But I was like, man.
Wouldn't it? I mean, but hey, it could totally work out for you. But I wouldn't have done that because you were one player better, I think, at RB than you were a receiver. So I don't think I would have done that. I mean, and ultimately, I'm drafting St. Brown over Chubb. So I probably wouldn't have. Ricky Bobby, I don't. Real quickly, Ricky Bobby, I don't know if you're paying attention. I mean, if you're not first, you're last, and I don't think you're first on this comment at least. Smitty Wentz, come on, Smitty, Wentz is trash. Who said Wentz was good? Ricky Bobby, who said Wentz was good? I mean, you're making an awful lot of assumptions here, Ricky Bobby. You're making an awful lot of assumptions here. You think I like Wentz? You think Wentz is a good quarterback? What on earth makes you think I like Wentz? Because I said maybe you get Wentz who can throw the ball down the field better than Jimmy Garoppolo? What other options do the Raiders have? What other options do the Raiders have, Ricky? You tell me. You tell me who's out there, sitting out there to grab. He's the best quarterback that's out. That's it. I didn't say he's good. He's the best one available, and the Raiders are going to need him because Jimmy can't stay upright. So I don't know what you're talking about. And he certainly isn't better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Or I'm sorry, Jimmy Garoppolo certainly isn't better than Carson Wentz. Jimmy Garoppolo can't even stay upright for very long. And Andrew made a pretty fair comment. He said Smitty comes to Las Vegas, gets treated like a king. And I was. I mean, circa Las Vegas, they put me up. They took care of me. They gave me a cabana to do a live stream. They treated me like an absolute king. And then he bashes the Raiders for 2 weeks straight. I think I even did some of that during my live stream there. But look, Las Vegas has no absolute ties to the Raiders. You know, it's like, of course, that's their team, but I mean, they don't necessarily own them. Circa doesn't really own them, but that is pretty funny. It is it's kind of a funny thing. Okay, Jet, did you have a follow up, or are you good? You can hang tight while I circle around
A quick follow up though. I do think I admire the last guy's fandom. You know, part of being a true fan to the Cardinals. I'm a true fan of the Eagles, and I do think Wentz would probably be a little bit better than Jimmy G. You know, I feel like Wentz didn't get his true shot.
Yeah, Ricky Bob, don't listen to Ricky Bobby. He doesn't know what he's saying on this one, but nobody likes either one of them. You know, Cam Newton. I saw Cam Newton in the chat. Cam Newton's better than Jimmy Garoppolo, and Ricky Bobby probably say, "Oh, this is a ridiculous take." No one likes any of them. The Raiders shouldn't be in this position, but they are. And they brought in a guy that's a big mistake. And the problem is, who is the best solution out of all the bad ones? And we're sitting here splitting hairs about Cam Newton versus Carson Wentz versus Jimmy Garoppolo. Ricky Bobby, take a lap. Take a big lap. If you're not first, you're taking laps. Okay, let's go over to Maddie. No, Dakota Dave and then Maddie. I'm sorry, Maddie, hang tight. Dakota Dave, you've been waiting patiently.
Hey, Smitty. The other day, I think it was, you said something about Tyreek Hill not looking that good in training camp.
Yeah, he's dropping some, or he was definitely looking a little bit out of tune, for sure.
Oh, okay.
But,
I mean, skill or think injury?
I just think he was off a little bit. I don't know. I mean, look, you could have bad days. That's all it was. I wasn't drawing too many conclusions, but I was just saying that, like, you know, I've already got a little bit of concern about Tua, and he, you know, that guy fires off his hamstrings like no other player in the league, and he's going to burn through them like a set of brake pads, you know, quicker than anybody else is going to. And so, like, at some point, he's going to fall off, like, quicker than we want him to. And I'm not saying it's this year. I'm just saying that you mix in all these different concerns, and it's like, well, I'm not taking a 5. I'm taking Garrett Wilson. I'm not taking, and I know a lot of people think that's crazy, but so was Jalen Hurts being a top 5 quarterback last year. So was Kenneth Walker being an absolute marvel, and people kept ignoring him into the 9th and 10th round. Look, it's going to be uncomfortable until it isn't uncomfortable with a lot of things in fantasy football. And for anybody to take anything as a ridiculous statement, really, honestly, anybody's take, even me, I should be more open-minded to somebody's bold take, but I usually don't tear down somebody's take as much as defend them when they come at my take being ridiculous. You know what I mean? A lot of my arguing and battling is in somebody not being receptive to interrupting Ian. You're interrupting the show with the echo that you got in the background. I don't know what in the hell is going on in the background there, interrupting Ian. Can you mute, bro? Ian?
Yeah, my bad.
Okay.
All right, I'll mute. 1 second.
Thank you. Anyway, I forget where I was going. Dakota, go ahead.
Your take
talking about
we're on Garrett Wilson is against the grain.
Yeah, against the grain. I mean, you're going to take Garrett Wilson over Tyreek Hill? Are you absolutely crazy, Smitty? Well, apparently I am.
But I tell you, there's a bunch of guys in late first round that I kind of want to stay away from, and like Diggs is another one. because I mean, in addition to this, drama, I was just seeing during the year, during the off season, he was like going to the Met Gala and he's got like fashion shows and stuff like that. That doesn't sound like that doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good to me.
Tua's got concussion issues. Okay, and those aren't going away. Most likely. Anything could happen, but there's a great probability that Tyreek Hill loses his quarterback that's supposed to feed him this volume. So that's one red flag. Then there's he's looking bad in camp. That's just a small red flag. Like if there was no other red flags at all, that would be nothing burger. But I'm just saying, when you start getting little red flags everywhere, and then you're like, okay, there's two wide receivers there that are very, very good. And if they don't have Tua throwing the football in a potent offense, and they've got, and I like Mike White, but I don't know that Mike White's going to replicate what Tua is doing. He's a guy that could win games. Maybe they win games. Maybe they're impressive, but this is not one of those situations where I want to be involved at 5 overall value. I like Tyreek Hill. I do, but I'm not drafting him where everybody else is. I'm taking Bijan 10 times out of 10 over Cooper Kupp, over Tyreek Hill. And I'm not saying I draft Garrett Wilson number 5 overall. People need to understand the context of what I'm saying. But is Garrett Wilson quietly my number 3, or St. Brown my number 3, like neck and neck, number 3 wide receiver at the end of the season? So cost of entry matters. The overreacting Oscar in the chat is going to say, oh, you take Garrett Wilson 4 or 5. You never heard me ever say I'm taking Garrett Wilson 4 or 5. Doesn't come out of my mouth. What I say is the cost of entry of Garrett Wilson so much better than Tyreek Hill, I'm trading down. If I can't trade down, I'm taking Bijan. And am I faced with a scenario where Tyreek Hill is supposed to be the guy that I take, but Bijan's gone? Almost never. So if I'm ever on the clock and I'm supposed to take Tyreek Hill, Bijan's there 9 times or 10 times out of 10. So that's my solution. Bijan, or I trade down. End of story.
Yeah. What about for late first round? What do you like Saquon, or is he really second round?
No, I mean, it depends on the context. In the throne draft, the community voted Saquon. Would I have taken him? Probably not. I support the community voting it, though. I think it was a great pick in hindsight, like just how our team fell, and it worked out perfect. He's a very top of round 2 guy, or 12-13 turn guy for me. Garrett Wilson's kind of my favorite pick right there, but the community voted. I honestly, the first vote, I didn't even really want to influence it all. I wanted you guys to truly get the player that won the vote. And Garrett Wilson was left off for the most part. There were a couple votes. I think Travis might have voted for him. But when he didn't get near the same amount of votes as Diggs and Saquon, we didn't want to. We're being coy about it too, because there's a lot of spies from this league. It's a throne league where you guys, the followers, draft my team, and there's 11 other communities, and we're coy about it when we're on the live stream. And basically, I felt out the audience that it's like, hey, look how far down Garrett Wilson is. And there were some people that said it in the chat over and over, but the people watching the spies are listening to what I'm saying, so I have to read between the tea leaves, and I'm like, okay, I see what you guys are doing here. And so the last thing in the world I wanted to do was so once we narrowed it down to Barkley and Diggs, and it was a landslide that those are the 2 people that everyone was voting for. The worst thing in the world I could have done is forced on my own account Garrett Wilson into the final vote that I put up, and I put a link out, and there's an actual vote that you had to click the button. The worst thing in the world I could have done was thrown Garrett Wilson on there and telegraphed what our next pick was going to be. And we almost landed. We were a hair away from landing Garrett Wilson as our second pick. The team before said that he came into the group chat with the other fantasy pages that we do this with, and they said, yeah, the chat voted Garrett Wilson. I think it's a little early. Like, he didn't even really want Garrett Wilson. His community barely pushed him over. But we got St. Brown. So in the throne draft, we got Barkley in round 1, St. Brown in round 2. Breece Hall in round 3, Justin Fields in round 4, and we're almost on the clock again. And so we're going to get, two picks. But Barkley, point of that is Barkley in round 1. It feels great. Our team's really, really solid.
Okay, well, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you. Let me circle around the phone line. Let me go to Maddie. Did Maddie hang up? I think Maddie hung up. Thank you. Dakota Dave, appreciate.
Smitty.
Yeah. Is that rock out?
Yeah, you forgot my DM.
Oh, here you go. Let me get to it. Rock out must have sent me a little tune.
It's Sun God. Just pick me in your dress. I will win your championship. I'll be scoring. Touchdown. And we'll dominate. Taking over. You know what it is, Sun God.
Did you say put him in a dress? Is that what you said?
No.
Put him in your drafts. I think that's what you said. Okay. It sounded like... listen back again. It sounds like you said put somebody in a dress.
Hey, y'all.
Sounds like somebody was day drinking.
Just pick me in your dress. I will win your championship.
Just put me in your dress. I love it.
In your draft.
I love it.
Pick me in your dress. I will win your championship.
I love it. Thank you, Rock Out. I'm going to cherish that one forever.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let me circle around the phone lines. I'm probably going to get out of here. Let's go to Cub. Final 10 seconds, Cub. You got 10 seconds. Go.
Man, I guess just get your 8 Alvin Kamara while you can, because I feel like it's a pretty good price of where it's at and keeps going up.
Agreed.
And just win, baby.
I appreciate you, man. Later. Call in tomorrow, Cub. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right. Owen with the super chat says, what puts Chase over Bijan? Could get both at 1.2. Owen, are you still here? I'm sorry about the delay, bro. I would say if it's 3 wide receiver full PPR, that's what would put Chase number 1 for me. If it's 2 wide receiver mandatory and then 2 running back and then a flex, meaning you could go 3 wide receivers or you could go 2, and you could go 3 running backs or you could go 2. That would probably make me put Bijan over Jamar Chase if it was a 2 wide receiver. Now, if it was a 3 wide receiver non-PPR, I'd probably still go Bijan. But that's me. But that's probably what I would do. Owen to the moon. Appreciate you, Owen. Owen's still here. I don't know if it's Jimmy or Doc that's got the bad background noise. I added you both at the same time, but it sounds like one of you's got the show in the background or something.
No, it's not. It's not me.
Is that Jimmy 44? Jimmy? Yeah, Jimmy. And now it's all gone. It's gone.
Is it me, Jim? Is it me, Jimmy?
It was you, Jimmy. But Jimmy, what can I do for you? And then I'm going to go to Doc. Jimmy, go ahead.
All I'm going to say, Schmitty, is Rashard White's going to be first round next year.
Finish him. Call terminated.
I haven't hit hang up yet, Jimmy, but I'm not going to go through this every single night with you. Okay?
Rashard White's the GOAT.
Finish him. Call terminated.
I don't know how many times I got to tell him to stop talking about Rashad White as a first or second or third round player. It's just ridiculous conversation that the viewers don't need to see every single night where I'm literally, it's like arguing with the wall. It's like arguing with the wall. I don't care what he thinks. He's trying to tell me he's a third rounder. He's not. It's ridiculous. This guy could go out and clean up. If Rashad White, who I like, which is the most frustrating part about Jimmy 44, is that I like Rashad White. I like Rashad White. And yeah, I think he called him Brashard. I like Rashad White. But he's making me go against him because he's a third rounder, Smitty. He's not a third rounder. And if you think he's a third rounder, go clean up. Go clean up in the 80s where he's going on Underdog ADP. Okay, Doc, you're live.
Hey, Smitty. So I had just remembered, oh man, Smitty's on right now, and the first thing I hear is "Put me in your dress." And now that's 2 nights in a row that I've joined the show, and I versus Bill the Tickler. Now it's put me in your dress. I'm starting to wonder. I'm starting to
in your
get
dress,
concerned.
I will win your championship. I'll be scoring. Sun God, just pick me in your dress. I will win your.
Wait, is he saying put me in your draft or
Yes.
put me in your dress?
Whoa.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah,
okay. I'm like, wait. I know it's not twice in a row that I've joined this show, and Smitty has something going on.
I mean,
it's not football related.
It's the graveyard shift. Anything can happen, pal.
I love it. I don't mind it. It's just I just wonder why is it every time I finally come in here, I catch it right at that moment.
Yeah, I don't know who's blowing their nose like a monster in the background, but is everybody okay? Who was that? Does the doc need to instruct you on how to tuck your nasal cavity back into your nose? That sounded bad.
Oh man.
Nobody ever fesses up to it either. All right, Doc, what do you got? I'm just jumping off. Anything you want to bring up real quick before we close everything down?
No, Smitty. I just want to call and say, hey, man, hope everything's going well with you, man, and hope you have a great day tomorrow, and I'll definitely join you again.
Yeah, call in tomorrow. Appreciate you, Doc. We'll see you later.
Absolutely, bud.
All right, interrupting Ian. You got 10 seconds.
Hey, bud. I've been pairing Calvin Ridley with Trevor Lawrence.
Smart.
I think it's been working out pretty well so far. Getting Bijan in the first, then seeing who lands in the second, and then trying to pick up Calvin in the third, and then getting pick up so on and so forth, and fourth and fifth, and then be getting Lawrence in the sixth. So it's been working out so far. I just want to let you know that's a little bit of the majority of my drafts on that.
Yeah, buddy. Hey, I love
yeah.
Calvin Ridley. I love Trevor Lawrence. I think they're gonna cook a ton this year. A lot of touchdowns being scored. And Calvin Ridley, his only knock is that he gets injured because of his hiatus. Somehow, some way, we're reflecting back on this, going, we should have known better. You take a hiatus like that, and you're gonna get hurt somehow, some way. It's just too much for the body to endure, or you're rusty. But the thing is, man. No one's forcing me to take Ridley in every draft, right? In his ADP's not so good that I'm forcing myself to take him every single time I see him. He's costing a lot, but I want to have a handful of shares, man. I'm not even talking 5% to 10%. I want 20, 25, 30% exposure to Calvin Ridley. And that, on Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty, which we just drafted on earlier. Ridley's amazing. Not to mention what's crazy, my guy. What is crazy, I don't know if you've seen this, but Calvin Ridley's higher low is absolutely unreal. Let me plug in real quick and show this. I don't know if it's still there. Sometimes they move a little bit because these higher low lines should really fluctuate based on the amount of people on each side of it, right? But really, look, yeah. London's got an 850 higher. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. Ridley's going to smash that. And let me see if I can find... Or I'm sorry, who was that? That was London. London's going to smash 850 yards. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. Let me see if I can find... I
think some of the analysts are talking about whether Pitts or London, I think, is kind of the main concern. But I think that offense is a number 5, man. So it's gonna move.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing, bro. Let me see if I can find really real quick on here. Christian Watson's 850. That's insane as well. Christian Watson 850 yards. Jimmy, I let you back on. I let you back on again, and you got background noise again, bro. You gotta mute that real quick.
I'm sorry, Smitty.
I'll come to you in 1 second. Okay.
I'm sorry, Smitty.
That's right. Let me see if I can find Ridley. Where did Ridley go? Where's Ridley? Dotson, 800.5. Unbelievable. Dotson, 800 yards.
Sorry, Smitty.
Calvin Ridley, they moved it. They moved it to 925. That's still great. But he was like at 8 something. He's at 850, I think. Calvin Ridley was at 850. Now he's at 9.
Is the noise still there, Smitty?
No, but you are. What can I do for you, Jimmy?
Hey, get rid of him.
What can I do for you, Jimmy?
I won't talk about Burchard.
His name's not Burchard. His name's not Burchard. You're telling me that he's a top 3 or 4 round player, and you can't even say his name right. It's Rachaad White, not Burchard.
Finish him.
Jimmy, what do you want? What do you want to talk about?
Jimmy.
Who?
Jimmy. I mean Smitty.
You're plastered, aren't you?
Look. Yo, Jimmy.
Your name's Jimmy. I'm Smitty. You're Jimmy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hello.
Are you with Denny?
Where's Denny? Where's Denny?
Jimmy, call him tomorrow.
Finish him. Call terminated.
Burchard. Hey, Jimmy. It's Smitty. Oh, no. You're Smitty. All right. Jet, final thoughts. Goodness gracious.
My final thoughts. I know that you guys are a little bit down on Tua. He might not be looking the best at practice, but he fooled around and got himself a Samoan sleeve. So I think he's coming with a little bit of spice this year, because them Samoans with the tribal tattoos ain't nothing to play with. He might go off.
So we're all in because of the tattoos. Okay. Hey.
A tribal sleeve, man. He's looking like Moana Part 2.
Yeah, but he's also looking like Maui. He's been eating a little bit more too, and he's quite thicker than you would want for a player that you don't want hitting the ground really hard and causing some whiplash. So
yeah.
I don't know. I don't like that added weight that he's adding to the mix when you don't want him hitting the ground with more force, bro.
I feel that. The one thing I would say is the red flag with Tua more than anything. I hear he's doing yoga classes and all that. Sounds like he might be a little working with some noodle soup.
It sounds a little optimistic to me, but hey, you know what? I appreciate it, Jet. And if you're a Dolphin fan, like, what else are you going to do? So I commend you for supporting your quarterback and your team.
No, I'm an Eagles fan. Fly, Eagles, fly, baby.
Then what are you doing? Tua's trying to get himself to not be able to. He's trying to help hold his neck up so that he doesn't hit the ground, because if he hits the ground, he's getting concussed. Does that sound like a player that's going to stay on the field upright? I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't pick him, I'd go Carson Wentz, man.
Anthony
or Cam, man. They need to bring in some joy. Cam for the Raiders would be a little bit better than Jimmy G. At least it'd be a show.
Anthony dropped a super chat talking about Rachaad White. I appreciate Anthony dropping a super chat. Thank you very much. All right. Hey, Jet, we'll see you tomorrow. Call in, pal. I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna show up with some tribal sleeves tomorrow, and then you're gonna think I'm just gonna take the year by storm. Schmitty's gonna tear everybody to shreds. He got tribal tattoo sleeves. He's going nuts. He's taking over. He's taking over ESPN this year. Haven't you heard? He's got the tribal sleeves. All right, later, Jet. All right, let's go over to interrupting Ian. I think I already gave you 10 seconds, but now you got 5. Go.
All right. Well, that's a hard one. Not sure where to start.
You got 4 seconds.
4 seconds.
3,
Uh,
2.
give me
Good
give
talk.
me Robinson.
Who? Bijan?
Give me Robinson. Yeah. Give me Robinson and
Finish him. Call terminated.
I'm sorry, but I didn't know when that was going to end. So, what are we doing today? What are we doing back there?
Like the whole phone line got dosed.
Call in tomorrow, pal. Appreciate you, by the way. Who was that? That was interrupting Ian. Appreciate you. Steven, final thoughts. You got 9 seconds. Interrupting Ian took one of yours.
Oh, you mean me?
Stefan, I'm sorry. Stefan.
Yeah.
You get that a lot, don't you? People call you Steven all day long, don't they?
Yeah, all the time.
And I like how you kind of didn't take it. You're like, oh, you mean me? You're like, I would do that too, bro.
Yeah, I knew who you were talking about.
But you got to do that. You got to put people in their place and make them uncomfortable, and be like, did you mean Stefan? Like, I totally support that. Good move. Well played. What can I do for you, Stefan?
Yeah, it's my.
You get 15 seconds
waiting
now.
Room move.
You get 15 seconds.
All right. So back to kind of my league settings. Quarter point per rush, half point PPR. There are like additional bonus points for like however long, 40, 50-yard touchdown, whatever. But I was curious as to your thoughts in reference to, like, I got the second overall pick. Pretty confident I'd be able to get Jamar Chase. Like, I'm almost certain I'll get Jamar Chase, but I was wondering, because of the quarter point per rush attempt, what your thoughts were on potentially trading down 1 to 2 spots and getting Bijan.
Yeah.
Like, which would you prefer?
Sure. Look, I mean, if you can trade down and get Bijan, I would do it. I definitely wouldn't grab him 1, 2, 3 if you don't need to. But, I mean, honestly, 3, 4, 5 is safe because someone could get cute at 4 or 5. I see it all the time. You're going to start seeing other analysts,
so you'd rather do that? You'd rather do that than Jamar Chase at the second?
Yeah.
Like Bijan in the fourth or at the
4 pick? Yeah, I would. 0.25 per rushing attempt? Absolutely.
And 3 wide receiver and a flex.
Yeah. It's all right. You'll be okay.
Okay.
We got you covered. We got a lot of good wide receivers. Pickens in round 6, 7. Mike Evans has been falling crazy late. Like, you'll find a way to get together a little stable. And what if Olave falls? You could get Olave, Watson, and London and take Bijan, and start building that way. Or Bijan, Ridley, and Gibbs, and Watson, and London. You know what I mean? You'll be fine. You'll be fine. All right, man. Call in tomorrow.
Okay.
Appreciate you, Stephen.
Okay. All right. Later.
Yeah. Stephen can go on and on and on. I appreciate that about him. I know there'll never be dead air. That's for sure. Thank you, Stephen. We'll see you tomorrow. Rock out. Final thoughts, pal?
Yeah, Jimmy and Danny the same person?
I don't know. Interrupting Ian's trying to call in again, but he's sauced, man. I'm not gonna get him on. Well, let's just see what he says. Ian, we're out of here, pal. We're leaving for the night. Any final thoughts you wanna say? Just 5 seconds, bro.
Yeah. The last time I give you a $20 holler, but you ended the show.
Oh, I did.
So you owe me a $20 holler.
You know what I'll do? I'll give you the floor, whatever topic you want, and I'll answer the question to make up for it. Did you do it when I was leaving?
Yeah, I did when it was like right when you were leaving the show.
What was the question? Hold on, let me hit the button for you. Can I hit the button for you? Hold on. Look at Ian. Ian, you sound a lot more clear right now, by the way. I don't know if me hanging up on you shook you, and you're more aware, but let me hit that $20 holler for you, Ian. This is for Ian's previous super chat. And Ian's an absolute monster. Ian, what's your YouTube name?
I got a couple.
Well, what is the one that you super chatted under? I'm trying to find the question if you don't remember it.
Jeez, man, that's gonna take a second. Hold on, I'll find it for you.
All right, let me hit the button.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Yeah, don't read your email or your social security or your address or anything on the air. I'm just merely wanting to know when we're looking for you in the chat. What is your name in the chat? Is it Ian?
Ian?
Ian what?
Yeah.
Is
Ian?
it just the Ian? Have you chatted yet today? I could search for Ian.
No, it was like probably like a month ago.
Well, drop a question in the chat real quick, and I'll see it right there. I got to keep an eye out for you. If you're dropping super chats, I want to make sure I'm keeping an eyeball on you. I'm sorry, pal. I didn't even see it.
No, it's okay. Hold on. Will do.
Let's look for it. It's gonna say like, "I am
One
Ian,
second.
the fantasy lord." I interrupt
No.
Smitty.
I don't mean to. I'm just like the king of it.
It's all right.
You know, I don't mean to.
It's all right.
Because I have like my kid's account and then like my account, so I have to like switch over. Hold on. And then I have a couple drinks, and I'm like,
Yeah, you
what the
were
hell?
you felt a little sauced, but it's okay, bro.
Yeah.
You know, Denny calls in and he's a fan favorite. So here, while you search for that, I'm gonna go over to Rockout real quick. Rockout, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, what's your thoughts on James Conner? I know they're not like the best team, but they do use a running back.
James Conner is, I think the problem is like he lives off touchdowns. The last 2 years he's been a touchdown machine, and the Cardinals aren't going to even know what the end zone looks like. So
Right.
that eliminates so much of his appeal.
Good point.
All right,
got that.
so I just texted, I'm the real Ian.
Let's see. I'm the real. There it is. It just is Ian. It really is just Ian. Okay. That's
Yeah.
good. Let's. What are you fishing? Look at those two. What are those? Those look like big goldfish.
Those are redfish from Texas.
Okay.
From the Gulf.
All right.
I'm from Southern California, but my family is from a fishing family.
I got you,
so
pal.
We just.
Hey,
Yeah.
Ian, appreciate you, my guy. All right, I am gonna get off because I've been on here for almost 2 hours and 30 minutes. But I appreciate your super chat. I'm sorry I missed it. I'm thankful that you called in and told me so I could do the proper $20 hauler. And we'll see you tomorrow, okay, bro?
All right, bud.
All right.
Have a nice night.
All right, rest up.
Yep.
Later. Ian to the moon. I'm gonna send you to the moon, Ian.
To the moon.
Sure. To
Ian
the moon, baby.
To the moon. All right, later, Ian. All right, rock out. Rock out hung up. Rock out. Appreciate you, man. Rock out. I didn't know you were hanging up. Travis, final thoughts.
I think Ian's already on the moon, but that was nice of you.
Yeah, he's a good dude. When I hang up on people,
Yeah,
it's all
yeah.
part of the fun. I mean, Ian knows that. Ian, no
Yeah.
hard feelings.
No. We the show just kind of crossed over to the Twilight Zone. That's all.
Yeah, it sure did.
We're all right.
Sure did. I mean,
But,
anything
I
else?
was just gonna, I was just gonna say, I know we've talked about him off and on, but Sky Moore, I haven't heard anything but I've heard good things, but nothing bad. Is there a chance that like he's just quietly just gonna slide into that role and be really, really good this year, or do you think there's a You think there's a cap on him?
I think
because I'm starting to get the feeling that like that this is something kind of like boiling under the surface now that Tony's hurt and maybe people aren't talking about it quite enough.
100% good topic, because what player has been anointed a job? Sky Moore. Everybody else is like moving
Right.
around. Sky Moore has been anointed the slot wide receiver, And so, whatever changes happen in the next couple weeks or months, it's not going to be the Sky Moore. Sky Moore is going to be consistently in the slot. Slot wide receivers can be some of the most productive wide receivers in the National Football League. Cooper Kupp was the number one wide receiver and had the number one wide receiver season in the history of fantasy football from the slot. And, you can't really contain the slot. You can't double team a player in the slot very often at all. So Sky Moore being anointed the slot wide receiver is really, really, really good news if you like Sky Moore. I'm not saying that Tony can't be that guy, but I agree with you 100%. And that's why I cuff Sky Moore to Tony all day long. But Sky's a great pick right now, and especially an underdog. Great pick.
Yeah, his ADP on Underdog is just sitting at I think it's 120 or something.
Yeah, so, it's crazy, man.
I just wanted your input on that, just because it just seems like almost like they're not talking about it a lot as a team. Like they've given him the spot, but usually you hear all this great stuff out of camp from teams. Oh, this guy's going to do this. He's looking great, all that. And there's some praise on him, but like I said, it's almost like they're just kind of just go about the business, and he could explode.
Yes, sir.
Out of the gate.
Eric dropped a super.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Travis. We'll see you tomorrow. Call in tomorrow, man. All right.
Talk to you
later. Appreciate you. Thanks for modding. Later. That's Travis Rowe, everyone. All right. Reebok says 0.25 per rush. Yes, Bijan for sure. Absolutely Reebok. Reebok's my boy. Love my boy Reebok. Last action hero with the super chat. Traded Kupp Watson for St. Brown Sky Moore. Hey, good topic. Are you still here? Last action hero. Appreciate that super chat. Thank you, Anthony, for your super chat as well a little bit ago. Are you still here, Last Action Hero? This is a great topic. We just talked about Sky Moore. Traded Kupp for Watson. Traded Kupp and Watson for St. Brown and Sky. I mean, we're assuming this is Dynasty. So at the end of the day, you gotta take that. You got to take that deal. But it could potentially hurt you this year if Kupp plays like a baller. So, yeah, I mean, I probably take it in a dynasty and take take my lumps in year one potentially. Maybe not. I mean, St. Brown could be the best player on this entire in this entire group. So it's a great question. Very tough trade to make. But, yeah, I mean, Kupp is 30 years old. If this is redraft, that's a whole different story. So, I don't know if you're here, Last Action Hero, to clarify. But Dynasty, you got to go with the two players that are just younger. Appreciate you. Smitty, you missed my super chat. Detest. Super. Let's look for Detest. Why am I not seeing your super chat, Detest? I'm literally... That's so weird. It's not showing up. Let me see if I can find it on the. I did notice it come through on my screen, but I'm not seeing it in my system. So let me just scan through the super chats real quickly. God, what did it say? Where is it at? Why am I not seeing super chat here? My stupid system needs to be restarted. Oh, I know. Wait, no. Hey, Detest, can you repaste your question in? And if anybody else super chatted and I missed it, can you repaste your question in real quick? For some reason, it's not loading, Detest. I can't find it right now. And I know you just did. I saw it come through. Last Action Hero, are you still here? Hopefully you saw my reply. And then as soon as I get the test, I'm probably gonna punch out. I don't see it. It's weird. So paste it in again real quick. What rookie wide receiver is doing better this year than Quentin Johnson or Zay Flowers? Or which one's doing better, Quentin Johnson or Zay? Give me Zay. Give me Zay Flowers. I like Zay a little bit more. Not everybody's going to agree. And his Last Action Hero here, I hope he saw my reply. Okay, he's still here. Did you hear my reply, though? Thank you, Wendigo. Appreciate your question, too. Tyler says, did I get banned? No, Tyler, I see you. I see you, Tyler. Did you say something stupid, Tyler, or get angry at somebody? Like, why are you questioning that? The test says thoughts on Bryce Young or Stroud. I got that one. That's so weird how that one went away for me. Thoughts on Bryce Young or Stroud. I like Bryce Young a tiny bit more, but I'll be honest, I don't know how this is going to go this year. So from this year perspective, it could go either way. I'm going to lean toward Young, but honestly, I mean, Stroud could be a tiny bit safer. You know what I'm saying? He could be a tiny bit safer. And yeah, I agree. Even Reebok just said what I'm saying right now. And I agree with the way he's wording it too. He says Stroud going to have more freedom this year, Young, for Dynasty. That's exactly what I'm saying. So if it's long term, you want to go Bryce Young, I think. Although you could argue it, but short term, I mean, it just feels like maybe Stroud's going to have a little bit better year one, because they're building around Bryce Young and they're going to do a good job, and they've got a good, line. They got a good staff. It's a good core. They surrounded him with older players like Thielen and Miles Sanders isn't older, but he's probably not someone that's going to be there for 4 or 5 years. So they're surrounding him with guys that can help sculpt him and get him where he needs to be. And then I think the big years, 2 years from now, maybe not even 1 year from now, like 2 years from now, Stroud's got a much more well put together team, from Pierce to the wide receiver room. There's a lot of talent there, I think, in Houston. And I think they're going to play ball and surprise some people. They kind of feel like the Detroit Lions from last year. They won't make the playoffs, but they're going to turn some heads and look pretty good. Hit that like button on your way out the door. Appreciate every single one of you. You guys make this channel what it is. And what are we going to end on tonight? We're talking St. Brown. We don't have a St. Brown video. We need to have one. I mean, it never hurts to end with a law dog. So appreciate you all. Dynasty, that's good action, hero. Then I definitely take that St. Brown side. Appreciate your super chat. Thank you to all of you that super chatted. Let's end it with the law dog.
A lion lives among us, posing as half man, half lawman. His golden mane is reportedly 6 feet long and is bathed in milk.
That's right.
His marvelous mane grows longer with each breath he takes. Legend has it that if you say T-Law in the dark in the bathroom 3 times, you lose your league instantly. Conspiracy fanatics have linked his triangle bone structure to the ancient pyramids and alien theory. Law Dog Milk for manes on sale this season. Soak your mane and win a league. Law Dog Milk.
Pour, soak, win. I'll see you all tomorrow. Don't forget we're live. Go forward 8 p.m. Eastern instead of 7. I'm hoping that all works for you guys in general. 8 p.m. Eastern moving forward is the evening show, not 7 p.m. Travis dropping the triangles, which is the symbol for the bone structure of Trevor Lawrence. So that's an accurate emoji to drop at this moment in time. Terry Roberts, appreciate you. Thank you for modding. Klondike, appreciate you. Travis Rowe, appreciate you. Jordan, appreciate you, my guy. Crack Shot in the building, everybody. Appreciate Crack Shot. Reebok dropping the triangles. He knows what's up. Last Action, appreciate you. Tyler says, all love, Smitty. Great stream. Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate you. Jonathan, see you later. Dylan, we'll see you later, broski. Ethan, be safe, everyone, says the test. Ethan says, what say you about that 4 guys? I don't know what that means, but Ethan, appreciate you anyway. D-Town in the building. Birdman, thanks a lot. Andre, we'll see you later. Appreciate you very, very much. Thank you for the kind words as well. Fantasy says, guys, I need help. Wilson, Diggs, or Jefferson, Waddle. Give me... that's pretty even, bro. I guess I go Jefferson, Waddle, barely. But that's, that's close, arguable. Nick, appreciate you. I think we got a super chat real quickly. What was that? Oh, Jonathan just became a loyal YouTube exclusive member. Jonathan became a YouTube exclusive member. Nick, see you later. All right, peace out. Appreciate you all. My super chatters are monsters, by the way. Dallas dropping the 20 at the onset. Derek dropping that $9.99. Overcome dropping his. Comma dropping his. Andrew coming strong with the $5 hauler. Last Action Hero came in with a few. Lee, appreciate you. Tyler dropping his super chat. His league mates found us. I don't know how. Owen, my guy. Last Action Hero again. Owen, appreciate you, Owen. Anthony, thank you. And then the test right here. Appreciate the test dropping his. Appreciate you. We'll see you all later. Thank you all for the super chats. See you all tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, or actually earlier, most likely, when news breaks. I'm out of here. People are getting burrowed left and right, and people are going to remember it.
Get burrowed.